What is your dream? The guy asked. A dream? Well, probably world peace, but that's impossible. Why? Because that's the way the world is. Light cannot exist without darkness, just as darkness cannot exist without light. Even an angel has wrath, and even a demon has empathy. Each of us has darkness inside, but whether a person wants to show it depends on others. Who knows, maybe we will be on different sides someday. The girl smiled sweetly and kissed the guy on the cheek. Are you saying that some of us will be evil, and some of us will be good? Each person perceives good and evil differently. No. Don't you dare do that. The girl shouted. If I don't, we'll all die. The guy ran at the opponent, but suddenly another one appeared behind his back and was about to pierce the guy's heart, when suddenly a girl appears in front of the katana. Her heart is pierced, the katana remains in the body. The guy in a rage kills all opponents. He runs up to the girl. No. What for? Why did you do that? He lifts her head with trembling hands. Everything will be fine. Spot. The girl smiles with the last of her strength after taking her last breath. No, dark. Darkness and nothing else. Is this the end? The girl asked into the void. No, it seemed to be heard from everywhere. The girl did not move. And I was hoping, your destiny is not fulfilled yet. That was the last thing the girl heard. Hm. The girl felt the owner of the voice smirk. She began to fall sharply. Where am I? Opening her eyes, the girl found herself in a strange place. Well, hello, sister, said the guy. She stared at him in surprise. Kurama? I thought you were really dead. What happened to you? After death, I found myself in a black space and a voice said something about the purpose, so here I am. I see. You are in the body of a girl named Uzumaki Naruto. She is the daughter of the fourth Hokage and Uzumaki. She's also an orphan. The fourth Hokage? How long has it been since my death? About 100 years. Naru, being Uzumaki Naruto is your destiny. The girl shuddered and straightened her red hair. Kurama, what's wrong with him? The girl asked in a quiet and uncertain voice. Kurama frowned. He's gone mad. Naruto's ears drooped, as did his tails, and his eyes dimmed. I think you need some rest. Kurama wiggled his tails, on the ends of which there were golden bells. A quiet and soporific melody was heard. Naruto's eyes began to slowly close. She fell on the sofa, which Kurama introduced. I missed you, sis. You've had a lot on your plate, but it's not over yet. Kurama turned into a fox again and fell asleep. Who am I? Where am I? The girl with red hair got up from the ground and looked around. There were 8 guys and 1 girl around her. Each of them had a different number of tails. Hi, sister. The red-haired man grinned. Sister? Yes, you're my sister. Uzumaki Naruto. I'm glad you got along. An old man with a long gray beard and wrinkles on his face smiled kindly. Only then did Naruto notice her 9 tails. She ran her hand over her head where the ears were. How my head hurts. Naruto moaned, clutching her head. She opened her eyes and looked around. And this is where I live? This house was built by Hashi. I can feel his chakra in the walls. I forgot to tell you. No one knows that you are the daughter of the fourth and the whole village hates you because of me. Kurama appeared near Naruto in his human form, only with tails and ears. Explain yourself. The girl looked at her brother seriously, which, considering that she was a child, looked very cute. Well, to put it in a nutshell, during the birth of your body, I was pulled out of your mother and, having subdued, forced to destroy Konoha, your parents sealed me in this body with the seal of the god of death at the cost of their lives, but since there were very few Uzumaki genes, the girl died, and the seal broke, and the residents had a hand in it. Don't tell me that the ANBU will come and kill me now because of the strong release of the chakra. Actually, no, I kept it. Kurama made a smart look. I have built a new seal that will make the illusion of the previous seal and prevent my chakra from flowing out. Well done. Naruto wanted to pat her brother's hair as before, but her height did not allow her to do this. The guy picked up the child in his arms, and she stroked his head. Is something bothering you? Your ears and tails are down. At her brother's words, the girl sighed. What happened after my death? And what happened to him? Madara is distraught. That day he killed all the Otsutsuki, subdued me and attacked Konoha. Then he lost the fight to Hashirama and died, but I think this idiot would not allow himself to die so easily. The girl looked at Kurama in shock, after which she snuggled closer to him, crying. Well, don't cry. I don't like your tears. Let me tell you about your situation. Good. The girl mumbled into her brother's shoulder. Naruto Uzumaki, 8 years old. Daughter of Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki. A very noisy and cheerful child. He studies poorly at the academy, some twos, does not like to read. Someone spread a rumor that she was a Jinchuriki, and the whole village began to hate her. She constantly painted the Hokage's faces to attract the attention of others, but she never realized that they began to treat her even worse. Hokage is Sarutobi Hiruzen. He promised her parents that he would take care of Naruto, but, as you can see, he doesn't care. The girl, considering her age, threw stones at homemade targets quite well. She is very hardy and her speed is somewhere at the level of a strong genin. A strong genin? She is 8 years old, that is, me. As a child, residents were often beaten and pelted with tomatoes, so she ran very often. By the way, she had ripe wheat hair, so fix it. Your power is still with you. I get it. Put me down. Naruto sank to the ground, wiping her tears along the way. She concentrated, her red hair turned the color of ripe wheat, and her tails and ears retracted. Is that better? Yes. Naruto, forget about him. Kurama, just shut up. The girl began to inspect her new home. What kind of killer color for a ninja, is it men's clothing? The blonde pulled 2 orange jumpsuits with blue inserts out of the closet. She didn't seem to like him either, but there was no money for another one, or rather they didn't sell it. I see now. I remember, you also often wore light kimonos. I wore them as casual clothes, I always wore dark in battle. But still, the orange color only emphasizes the radiance of this hair. You're right. I need to go to the store urgently. The girl's hair turned red again, and the stripes on her cheeks disappeared. After shopping, she bought a lot of healthy products and normal clothes. Kimono, well, as always, Naruto was heading to the Ninja Academy. Look, it's that girl. Yes, it's in it, be quiet, or else they'll hear you. That's somehow unusual. I have always been treated with respect. Kitsune thought. And what are you going to do? Kurama asked from his subconscious. Nothing. People are afraid of what they don't understand. They're afraid and hate you, but they know you're going to kill them, so they take it out on me. This is normal, this is the world. Naruto replied. You and your philosophy again. Good morning, students. Today the topic of our lesson is the foundation of the village of the Hidden Leaf. It all started with the war of two clans, which were Uchiha and Senju. Iruka was talking about the clan war, their strength and abilities. Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha joined the fight. They fought for 5 days and 6 nights, neither of them could defeat the other. It sounds too exaggerated, Naruto thought. At the moment when a huge multi-armed statue was rushing at the same huge Susanoo, a girl appeared. Majestic technicians divorced, showering on the ground with small feathers, and the girl approached the guys. She was incredibly beautiful and powerful. The girl was a kitsune, a legendary creature with 9 tails and fox ears. She was stronger than Madara and Hashirama, but instead of killing them, she took both of them by the hands and looked into their eyes. "Wars will not lead to anything good," the girl said. After this incident, all 3 founded a village called Konohagakuronosato. The name of this girl was Uzumaki Naruto. All the children immediately stared at Naruto, who calmly looked at the teacher. "Naruto, aren't you surprised?" the teacher asked. "Surprised? Iruka-san, almost everyone knows about the bloody kitsune. I don't believe I'm saying this, but you're right. Hm. Iruka-san, shouldn't a teacher treat all students equally? I have to." Iruka scratched his head awkwardly. The girl looked at him sternly. "I think that a smart person like you should understand that I have done nothing wrong to you. If you have personal grievances against him, then I can arrange a meeting with him." After the girl's words, Iruka turned pale. "I understand my mistakes, I'm sorry. Kids, your lesson is over." It wasn't like that. The story of my appearance is too exaggerated. It's like I'm some kind of deity. I am stronger than Madara and Hashirama, but only separately. At least that's how it was when I was alive. Naruto thought, flashback, "Your demise has come, Hashirama." Madara shouted. "We'll see, Madara." 2 huge vehicles were rushing at each other. "Well, Naru, don't get mad. I didn't mean to." Naru. Kurama followed his sister, angry as hell, trying to somehow soften his death. "Kuramachka, dear, if you don't disappear from my eyes right now, I will kill you with the most painful death." The girl was smiling sweetly, which scared the guy even more. "It's okay, sis." Kurama immediately disappeared. "Yes, who is yelling like a cut?" The girl frowned. She started getting even angrier. Teleporting to the place where the screams came from, she realized that she had teleported unsuccessfully, and now she would be crushed by 2 huge techniques. Divine Purification. 10 scarlet Congo Fuso chains burst out of the girl's back, 2 techniques disappeared, disintegrating into small feathers. Come on, Naruto, try not to take out your anger on them," the girl thought. She took a deep breath and exhaled. "Wars will not lead to anything good," the girl said calmly. "Kitsune?" Brown-haired asked. "People strive for peace, but they start wars. Are you really the same?" The girl disappeared, leaving flames in her wake. She did not notice how the long-haired brunette was looking at her admiringly. Author, no, it's not love at first sight. In the future, you will understand why he looked at her like that. There's not even sympathy there. Well, Kurama, your death is already close. 10 scarlet Congo Fuso chains burst out from behind the girl. The end of the flashback. Naruto, didn't you take part in the foundation of Konoha? Kurama asked, sitting down on the sofa. That's right. I just gave you an idea. Then why? Because the village, which was founded by 2 shinobi gods and a bloody kitsune, will be considered the strongest and greatest. From adding my name, they got a lot of privileges. Well, It makes perfect sense. Where are you going? I'm going to try to cook something. I hope she doesn't burn down the kitchen floor. The red-haired man whispered, but the end of the chain that was floating in the air was immediately put to his throat. Got it. Has accepted. The chain is gone. In an hour. There was a knock on the door. Kurama immediately returned to print, and Naruto returned the appearance of a man. She went to open the door. Who's there? Uzumaki. Naruto, Hokage-sama is calling you. I'm coming. The girl disappeared, leaving flames in her wake. A little surprised, Anbu disappeared into Shunshin. Have you been summoned, Hokage-sama? Naruto asked, bowing slightly. I did. Naruto, how do you know about the Nine Tails? Hm. How can I not know about what is sealed in me? Hokage didn't answer anything. Do you really think that even if all the people around me know the truth, I won't find out? Sooner or later, but all secrets are revealed. This is the world. Hiruzen was very surprised by the girl's answer. In her eyes, he did not see the old childish fun and thirst to prove to everyone that she was not a monster. He saw a sensible and very wise look, as if there was not a child in front of him, but the wisest person. The girl behaved very calmly, as if she already knew everything in advance. And what are you going to do next? Depends on your actions. Hokage-sama, I do not like quarrels and I will be glad to cooperate with you. Then I also hope for our cooperation. Glad to hear it. Can I go? Yes. Naruto disappeared, leaving flames in her wake. Hiruzen looked at it in shock. That was the last thing Naruto heard. This technique was mastered by Kitsune, but it was quite easy, so almost anyone could learn it. Naruto appeared in her house. Kurama immediately appeared next to her. What will you do next? First I will study the history of the world of shinobi and Konoha, and then I will prepare this body for my strength. And what are you going to do? To glue girls. But before that, I will become a shinobi of the leaf. Kurama grinned. Nothing new. Kurama is very beautiful. Red hair, red eyes with an elongated pupil, a black outline around the eyes and sharp facial features, fangs peeked out from under the upper lip. A black kimono with orange inserts complemented the look. Kurama, buy some groceries. Yeah. I'm coming. Kurama went to the store, and Uzumaki continued to walk in the park. Suddenly she noticed a pink crown. I kind of saw her in class, or rather, her hair. The girl thought. She straightened her yellow hair, the roots of which were red, and approached the girl, who was standing with her back to her. You're Sakura, right? Sakura turned to her, and Naruto's eyes sparkled right. Holy foxes, what a cutie you are. Naruto took her cheeks in her hands. Naruto, what are you doing? The girl blushed a little. What a cutie you are, and this forehead only adorns you. Naruto, don't harass the child. Kurama said, holding a bag of groceries in his hand. The blonde looked at him with displeasure. Look how cute she is. Come on, I'll make you some tea. Good. Sakura said, and Uzumaki took her by the hand. May feel a little sick. The girls disappeared, leaving flames in their wake. Kurama also teleported. You have a nice one. Thanks. Kurama helped me to make surface repairs. What kind of tea will you have? Cherry. Good. Kurama cooks sandwiches. Kurama sighed and began to cut bread. In an hour. And why don't you like your hair? As for me, they are beautiful. Well, pink hair is a killer color for a ninja, and the paint immediately flies off from them. Sakura said sadly. So the dye doesn't dye your hair? Naruto looked at the pink-haired woman in surprise. Wait for me 5 minutes. The girl went somewhere, and came back with one small piece of paper and a needle. This may sound strange, but I need your blood. Now it was Sakura's turn to stare at Naruto in surprise. Just a drop, I'll heal the wound. Very well. Naruto came over and made a small wound on the girl's finger with a needle. She held the paper up to the drop of blood and it fell on the paper, which instantly turned red. The paper began to turn white, and as a result, only 15% of the paper was colored red. Naruto sighed. Now everything is clear. Your hair is not dyed with another dye, because there is a chakra in them by nature. And the chakra in them is due to the fact that you are 15% uzumaki. In general, Uzumaki used to be proud of this, but now it's a big problem. Is there a Uzumaki clan? Naruto looked at Sakura in surprise again. The Uzumaki clan is the greatest clan that specializes in the techniques of the element of water and Fuinjutsu. They founded their own village, which was destroyed in World War II. The clan had distinctive scarlet hair, which was a distinctive feature. For this they were nicknamed the Red-Haired Devils. Many people shuddered just hearing about them. I didn't understand anything, but it was very interesting. Haruno smiled awkwardly. Author, my favorite phrase, Naruto sighed. She's just a kid. Naruto, let's practice together tomorrow? Training? Good. At 8 o'clock, at landfill number 15. Good. You can teleport me back, it's time for me to go home. Good. Naruto teleported the girl to her house and returned back. She couldn't hold back anymore. Kurama, put up a barrier. Urgently. The guy put a very powerful barrier that almost broke when Naruto released 9 tails and ears. She became an adult girl again. We need to do something. I can't maintain a human appearance for that long. What is your maximum? A week. I plan to hide my identity, but I think it will be difficult. Can't you just do a henge? Kurama started to restore the barrier. Stupid Kurama, Hiruzen will immediately know who I am, and with him Danzo and the elders. They won't let me take a step without surveillance. The girl put her hand to her chin. You can easily get rid of them. Naruto smiled sweetly and stood on her toes, patted Kurama's hair. There is no need to shed extra blood. Then what will you do? You will go to look for Uzumaki around the world, and I will raise my status and regain the territory of the Uzumaki clan. Can you handle it alone? Kurama, what are you implying? No matter what, I'm just worried about you. Silly brother, I'll be fine. The guy looked at her skeptically. Then I'm going to the Hokage. Kurama created one clone who went to collect things. Take a walk or something, again. It's already evening. The girl again took the form of a 6-year-old girl. When will this red hair grow back completely? At least the stripes on the cheeks are gone. The girl put on a light blue kimono with white inserts, which only emphasized her blue eyes. She left the apartment. I want dango. The girl went to the candy store. Good evening, please give me 1 dango. Get out of here, demon. The seller shouted. Naruto looked into his eyes. As I know, demons have black horns and red skin, they destroy everything they touch and bring chaos. Do I look like a demon? Stupid people believe rumors, and smart people believe facts and personal observations. Which one of these two are you? The seller stared at the calm girl in a stupor. He had no words to answer. I don't want dango. Sorry to disturb, the girl came out of the shop. She raised her head to the sky. The moon is beautiful today. Flashback, let's go buy a dango? Madara asked. Give you a dango, and something sour for me? Come on, not a lover of sweets. Uchiha smiled, pulling the girl to him. They left the house and went to the candy stand. The moon is beautiful today. Madara looked at the moon. It's true. Spot, let's go faster. Good evening, Naruto-sama, Madara-sama. The end of the flashback. So the Uchiha clan is planning a coup? Mrake, Iru. MPFRR, the fox made a sound. In a month? How does Itachi behave? Chirk. Chirk. CRRK, the bird sang. The genius of the clan hates his clan. Anything happens, it's not for me to judge him. What decision do you think he'll make? Irk. Kra. HMFK, the fox spoke. Oh, these loving brothers. Kitsune brought a stick with grapefruit to her mouth, which she held with one of her tails. Tweet. Tweet.k.k. There is no need to shed extra blood. Moreover, I will not allow the Spec clan to be destroyed. The girl smiled sadly. MPF, Kra. The fox lay down on the girl's lap and put her head under her arm. Roxy, the sly fox. Irea. Naruto started stroking the redhead on the head. Tweet. Tweet. You're right, there's no need to put it off for later. The girl straightened her red hair and turned into a 6-year-old girl with red hair. Well. I'm off, don't be bored. Irao. Churek. Ha. Thank you, author, who did not understand. They wished her good luck. If you don't understand something in the fanfiction, write in the comments, I will answer. Naruto put on an orange kimono with yellow inserts and a red belt, from which 2 small strips of fabric also red went down. The girl disappeared, leaving flames in her wake. She appeared in front of the Hokage's office. After knocking, Naruto entered. Good afternoon, Hokage-sama. Hello, Naruto. Did you want something? Yes. To regain their rightful possessions. Hiruzen looked at the girl in surprise. Naruto, is this your next joke? What other possessions? Hokage laughed. I, as the daughter of the 4th Hokage, Minato Namikaze and the bloody habanera, Kushina Uzumaki, demand to return to me the property of my parents and the territory of the Uzumaki clan, along with the title of the head of the clan. How did you know? Hokage-sama, how can a child not know his parents? Especially if they are famous shinobi. The old man gritted his teeth irritably, then smiled. In any case, it's not as easy as it seems at first glance. Moreover, Danzo and the elders will only get in the way. I understand that. If a despised orphan starts living in the Hokage's house, unnecessary disputes will begin, so I only need my parents' money and the Uzumaki clan. I, as the heir of the clan, will become the head. How will you become the head of Uzumaki, if there are no Uzumaki themselves, especially since you are only 8 years old? And if you remove the illusion barrier from the clan's territory, there will be a commotion in the village. Hiruzen sighed, hoping that the stupid kid wouldn't come up with anything and decide to give up. I hope for a commotion in the village. And age is not the main thing. Hiruzen looked at the calm girl in surprise again. What do you mean by that? The commotion in the village will alert all the clans, and the Uchi are the strongest. I think they'll reschedule their plans for the village. I guess you know what I mean. Hokage-sama, I hope in 3 days everything I need will be with me. What is your goal? If everything goes according to my plan, I will kill several birds with one stone at the same time. Naruto smiled and disappeared, leaving flames behind her. Naruto, you've changed a lot since that incident. Flashback, Grandpa Hiruzen, don't worry. I will prove to all of them that I am not a monster. They all recognize me. I will become the strongest kunoichi in the village. Naruto, I believe in you. But stop messing with everyone and go read something. Kunoichi must be educated. The old man smiled. Naruto frowned, she didn't like to read. Okay, I will definitely learn everything. I'm going to the library. The girl jumped off the hospital bed and ran out of the ward. Just like her mother. Hokage smiled. Naruto was running towards the library when she suddenly noticed her friend, Minako. She was standing with some girls and laughing. Oh, Minako, hello. The blonde shouted. Look at her. A girl whispered. Yes, look who's running, the most worthless girl in the village. You're trying to become the strongest kunoichi again. Minako laughed. Naruto looked at her in shock. I thought we were friends. You and I have never been friends. I was just using you. Remember, no one in this world needs you, even your own parents abandoned you. Minako grinned. The blonde clenched her fists, she was touched for the most painful. Oh, look, Naruto is crying, poor thing. I wish someone would calm her down, like her parents. Oh, yes, you don't have them. Naruto cried harder. Suddenly all the girls ran away with a loud scream, and Uzumaki squeezed in their arms. It was Anbu in a dog mask, he had ash-colored hair. Don't worry, they'll get their due. The guy hugged his sensei's daughter closer to him and disappeared into Shunshin. He took the girl home and sat next to her until Naruto fell asleep. The end of the flashback. What will you do? Asked the fox. Author, I will write the speech of animals in this font. In the beginning, it is necessary to establish a relationship with the children of the heads of clans, and then I will look at the situation. Still I have the body of an 8-year-old girl. Naruto took a bite from an orange slice. Is it possible to just come to the house of the head of the clan? Roxy, I won't go to their house. I'll make sure they invite me themselves. The girl took another bite from an orange slice. How do you eat this sour stuff? The bird chirped. Phiro, I like sour. I don't like sweets. The red-haired woman smiled. Suddenly there was a knock on the door. Naruto got up from the bed and went to open the door, behind which Sakura was standing. Sakura? Why did you come here? Shall we go to practice? I've read such an interesting book, I want to practice. Good. What kind of book? The girl removed the remaining piece of orange from the skewer. About Ireninjutsu. Do you want to be an Irionin? I want to. Let's go faster. Sakura grabbed Naruto's hand and pulled her along. Children at her age are very noisy and energetic. The red-haired woman thought. The girls ran to landfill number 7. I want to practice. Sakura started trying to use the healing technique. If you hurry, you'll make people laugh. You should direct the chakra into your hands, but at the same time use its transformation into a healing one. Selecting the chakra from the hands, direct it clockwise on the right hand and counterclockwise on the left. Wow! How do you know all this? I just like to read. The red-haired woman smiled. After 1 hour. Well, a gorgeous babae. I can't do anything. Sakura shouted. What? I'm sorry. Oh, nothing. It doesn't work out, I say, nothing. The girl scratched her head awkwardly. Naruto sighed. You are misdirecting the chakra. Look. The red-haired woman began to explain the principles of using the technique. Suddenly Anbu appeared in front of the girls in a raven mask. Hokage-sama is calling you. The guy held out his hand to the girl. Uchiha Itachi? Well, let's go. Naruto took Itachi by the hand, and they teleported to the Hokage's office, leaving the surprised Sakura alone. How do you know my name? Hm. I know a lot of things. The girl closed her eyes a little, then looked at Hiruzen. Did you want something, Hokage-sama? Yes. Naruto, come with me. The girl and the old man went to the hall where the council of clan heads and elders was held. Hokage-sama, you finally arrived. What are the Jinchuriki of the village doing here? One of the elders shouted. Hiruzen calmly entered the hall and sat down in his seat. Naruto did the same. He wants me to win back the clan territory myself, thereby raising my status. Wise. I understand your misunderstanding about Naruto at the council, but believe me, she will play a very important role in our conversation. Naruto, I give you my word. The girl got up from her chair. Greetings, dear clan heads and elders. I want to talk about assigning me the territory of my clan and the opportunity to become the head. The girl said calmly, but she was brazenly interrupted by Hamuro. Complete absurdity. You have no right to do that. You are the weapon of the village and do not have the right to free action. The old man shouted. Naruto covered her mouth with her wide sleeve. She cleared her throat a little. Hamuro-san, where are your manners? Keep yourself in hand. Shikaku said calmly. Naruto thanked him with her eyes. I, as the daughter of the princess of the Uzumaki clan and the former head, demand to return my rightful possessions to me. Naruto, how will you be the head of a clan with only 2 people? Inoichi asked. Don't worry about it. My brother, Kurama, will soon bring my clansmen to the village. What will we gain from this? Inazuka-tsum asked. To begin with, the Uzumaki clan specializes in fuinjutsu and water element techniques. We will provide you with some seals in exchange for the services we need. But still you are still a child and only go to the academy. The duties of the head of the clan is a very responsible job and does not require childish thinking. The head of the Aburame clan said in his own manner. I will ask you not to look at my age. I think you understand why people like me grow up much earlier. Girl, we don't know your intentions. Suddenly, having received the Uzumaki clan into your possession, you will release the Kubi. Even one representative of the Uzumaki clan is incredibly strong, and when there are about 100 of them, they become weapons of mass destruction. After Danzo's words, everyone started thinking. This girl is too smart and cunning for her age. It seems to me that she just manages everyone, like a puppeteer. She's obviously hiding something. Shikaku thought. Danzo-sama, what would I gain from destroying the village? Solid disadvantages, both for me and for you. I'm going to die, and so is the fox. Your shinobi will kill the Uzumaki survivors. Villages will capture Konoha. Think about my words. A real puppeteer. She chooses the right words, beckoning people to her side, while not talking about her plans. Had she just been playing dumb before? Who are you, Uzumaki Naruto? Shikaku was very interested in the candidate for the head of Uzumaki. Let's vote. Who is in favor of returning Uzumaki Naruto to her rightful possessions? Most of them raised their hands. Now who's against it? Only the elders and Danzo raised their hand. Well, the decision has been made. Uzumaki Naruto, congratulations on becoming the head of the Uzumaki clan. Thank you. The girl bowed her head a little. Naruto-san, maybe we can discuss the seals then. Some grinned. Some-san, I would like to talk about this after the Uzumaki clan is fully settled in the village. I see. The blue eyes with the elongated pupil flashed. Some stared at them in fascination. The eyes flashed again. Damn. There's not much time left. The girl thought, but did not change her face in any way. I thank you for your attention. The girl bowed slightly again and sat down on a chair. I think the council can be finished. Thanks for attention. Hiruzen said. Everyone started to disperse. Naruto, let's go. You need to sign some documents. Hokage and Uzumaki went to the office of the head of the village, where the girl signed the necessary papers. Well, finally. Anbu appeared in front of Hiruzen wearing a dog mask. Take Naruto to the territory of the Uzumaki clan. The girl took the guy by the hand, and he teleported to the right place. In front of us is the territory of the Uzumaki clan, but it is under the barrier and no one can go there except Uzumaki. Thank you, Kakashi. And thank you for saving me earlier. Kakashi patted the girl's hair and disappeared. Naruto exhaled. She went through the barrier. As I thought. Time barrier. It's time to take it off, like everyone else. Naruto removed all the barriers from the clan and put new ones, protective, illusory and hiding chakra. The illusory barrier only hid her appearance, not the clan. She slumped to her knees. A wave of chakra almost broke the barrier, and 9 tails were already developing behind the girl's back. The ears on his head twitched prettily. Naruto sighed. Even releasing the tails and ears, I can't hold back my power any longer. Now it's not a problem. I'm going to choose a house for myself. Chanterelles. The girl went to stroke the fox, completely forgetting about everything in the world. Why can't you take the exam right away, and not sit here all day? I'm the head of the clan. Naruto thought with displeasure. Today I will tell you about the well-known, bloody Kitsune. Oh. And this is something more interesting. I wonder what he will tell. To begin with, the Kitsune is a symbol of order in the universe. They are neutral. They can't be called evil, but they can't be called kind either. The task of Kitsune is to maintain order in the world. They live like ordinary people, but nevertheless they are not. Irika-sensei, if they have to maintain order, then where was the bloody Kitsune during the 3 world wars? Sasuke asked. You'll find out now. At the time of the founding of the village, Uzumaki Naruto was alive, but the land was attacked by the Otsutsuki clan. Kitsune and Madara joined the battle against hundreds of Otsutsuki. They were not super strong, but they had unknown techniques and jujitsu, which is why Madara and Naruto were afraid of them. During the battle, Kitsune lost, but at the cost of her life she was able to save Madara. So she was weak. One of the children shouted. What makes you so sure of that? Kitsune is the wisest, smartest and most cunning creature. Why does your understanding of the power of Kitsune not go beyond death? If you believe the rumors, the Kitsune of our planet should have already been reborn and is currently being searched for. Irika replied. And that's bad enough. The girl tensed. Irika-sensei, you said that the Kitsune remain neutral, then why is she also nicknamed Bloody? Because during the clan wars, she killed more than 10,000 shinobi to keep the peace. She did a bad thing for the good of a good one, that is, she did not accept any of the sides, but killed everyone. In other words, I got rid of the reason. If Kitsune is so powerful, then why did she die such a pitiful death in battle? Uchiha Madara was rumored to be her love. Some claim that he was blinded by her beauty and strength, so much so that he was like a priceless doll in the hands of a puppeteer. She sacrificed herself to save him. Some say that she was really weak, and some claim that spirits from another dimension wanted to eliminate her as a strong threat. There are many theories of the death of the bloody Kitsune. That's their fantasy, of course. Complete nonsense. And anyway, how do they know so much? She saved Madara, Sama, so why didn't he tell her how she died? Because he's gone mad. And how to understand in which body Kitsune was reborn? She has a special power and aura that is different from everyone else. Can't she hide it? No one knows what she's capable of. But this is also possible, although such power cannot be hidden for a long time. Where does so much information about me come from? Can kill them quietly, although how to understand who is the source of information? How problematic it all is. I want to sleep. The girl thought. She didn't sleep all night, preparing the clan territory for the arrival of Uzumaki. How can a Kitsune keep order on the whole planet if she is only one? As it is written in ancient scrolls, she keeps order at will. But another ancient scroll says that this is her father's dying wish. And it's true. The world is in chaos, and I'm sitting in the academy. Irika-sensei, you said that Kitsune is being searched, but why is she hiding? For you to ask. Naruto thought and put her head in her hands. No one knows why she does it. No one thought that I just want to live quietly. But you still need to divert suspicion from yourself. The girl began to reflect on her further actions. After 5 minutes, the bell rang. Naruto got up from her seat and took out a document. Irika-san. It's from Hokage. She handed him the document. Permission to graduate from the academy emergency? Follow me. Why are you graduating from the academy so early, if it's not a secret? Don't you know that I became the head of the clan? Yes? It's probably time to take a vacation. Irika and Naruto went to the exam room. The girl ideally performed the techniques of the academy and passed the test. Congratulations, Naruto-san. You're a genin now. Irika said, smiling. Why, san? Well, you're the head of the clan now. And your status is higher than mine. I completely forgot. Thanks for everything. The girl bowed slightly and disappeared, leaving flames behind her. How I want to sleep. The girl fell on the bed and, wrapped in fluffy tails, fell asleep. Hi, Naru. A soft male voice reached the girl's ears. What? Did you miss me? I was madly bored. Madara appeared in front of Naruto. She looked at him in shock. It's a dream, isn't it? No, Naru, it's not a dream. The guy laughed hysterically. This is not a dream, baby. I just wanted to say that it's all your fault. You've made me crazy. Ha ha ha. You're not Madara. Scarlet chains broke out of the girl's back and headed for the brunette. I hate you. The last thing Naruto heard before the silhouette disappeared. She stared coldly at the place where Madara was standing. What the hell is going on here? Really his tricks, that's right. I'll stick this bow in one place for him. Author, I now think about who she was talking about, Bujie ga. These characters will appear in the war. Well, since I got into a lucid dream, I'm going to eat oranges with lemons and stroke foxes. The girl smiled, but her anxiety did not leave her. He couldn't have become like this because of me, could he? Now is not the time to think about it. Naruto stretched and yawned. She got up from the bed, but immediately fell on it. A red whirlwind was running around the room. Roxy, are you all right? Naruko-sama, Naruko-sama, their Uzumaki came to the village together with Kurama-sama. The fox ran out of the room. Uzumaki? Naruko took the form of an 8-year-old girl and disappeared. She appeared in front of the village gate. Naruko, what to do with them? Kurama asked painfully. Naruko sighed. There were about 200 Uzumaki. Attention! Dear fellow clansmen, please follow me. The red-haired men looked at the girl. A third Hokage appeared beside her. Welcome you. Follow Naruko-san. She will guide you to the territory of the clan. Hokage said. The Uzumaki were at a loss. The fucking body of a child. Well, never mind, I will show myself on the territory of the clan. Naruko was overwhelmed with work for the whole day. At first, she showed each Uzumaki their houses, since, for example, a large house was needed for a family, and a small one would be enough for one person. After that, she made a list of each Uzumaki, simultaneously writing down their description, strength, appearance, age and gender. But even after doing all this, she had to go to the Hokage and officially register every red-haired one. With all this, the Uzumaki were dissatisfied with their head, since Naruko did not show her real self. Kurama went to bed, as it was difficult to follow the violent and hot-tempered Uzumaki all the way. It's already evening. Naruko has gathered all the Uzumaki near her house in the center of the clan quarrel. Why did she call us together? I don't know. I'm not sure that the child will be able to manage the clan. I think it's not that simple. When we arrived, she was collected and serious. Let's hear what she has to say, Uzumaki whispered. Are you sure that your appearance will not be visible behind the barrier? If it were visible, everyone would already be lying at my feet, begging for their forgiveness. Well, I'm starting. The girl sighed. She was standing on the balcony of her house, where everyone could be seen. Naruko went to the railing. Dear fellow clansmen. I assume you are unhappy that the head of the clan is a child and that I will not be able to protect you. The red-haired ones quieted down and began to listen attentively to Naruko. But now I will change your mind. Naruko's appearance disintegrated into fragments, revealing a view of a 19-year-old girl with a beautiful appearance, blue eyes with a vertical pupil, red hair, a length just below the waist and a beautiful figure. The girl had cute red ears on her head, and 9 beautiful red tails bloomed behind her back. Naruko, sitting on the railing, watched the Uzumaki with a grin, who looked at her with undisguised shock. Suddenly, everyone fell to their knees. Kitsune-sama, accept our deepest apologies for doubting you. Several people shouted from the crowd. I'm sorry for doubting your abilities, Naruko-sama. Naruko laughed. Aha! Haha! The girl covered her mouth with the sleeve of her kimono. Do not bow to me, I understand why you doubted earlier, but still I will ask you to keep what you saw today a secret. I trust my clan and hope for mutual trust. I think now you will not doubt your leader. Hit harder, don't be afraid that you may feel pain. Naruko said, jumping away from Sakura, who was breathing heavily. Shursui approached the girl and gave her a bottle of water. Itachi jumped higher into a tree. Faster, Nick Fury will learn to laugh than I will fight. Unable to stand on her feet, Sakura fell to the ground and poured some water on her face. Who? All three asked. Oh, just like that, no one. Naruko, can you show me how to make those strong blows with which you break the ground? It is better to do it slowly, but productively, than quickly and dangerously. Do you always talk like that? Shursui asked with a skeptical face. Naruko chuckled. As I understand it, it means no. The girl sighed. Naruto smiled and brushed the dust off her kimono. Nothing comes easy. Sasuke chuckled. Itachi chuckled. I wrote you a schedule of workouts and exercises. It will help you strengthen your body faster. Oh, thank you. Why are you so smart? Smart are not born, but become. If I start listing everything, it will take a lot of time. Speaking of time. Naruto looked at a small alarm clock that was standing to the side. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm late. Don't get bored, and, Sakura, follow the training schedule. Naruto shouted and disappeared, leaving flames behind her. Capets, why is everything so difficult? Haruno whimpered, sprawled on the grass. Damn, I'm late. Naruto opened the doors to the meeting room. Naruto-san, you're late. Koharu said with a grimace. Ahem. I'm sorry, I was a little late. The girl bowed a little and sat down in her seat. Since everyone is here, I can start the meeting. The topic of discussion is the commotion in the village and the Uchiha and Uzumaki clan. The commotion in the village caused the removal of the illusory barrier from the Uzumaki clan, but I would not have called you for such a small reason. Villagers and even shinobi are afraid of both the Uchiha clan and the Uzumaki clan. What is the reason? Fugaku asked briefly. Let's start with the fact that the Konoha police have tightened the measures of order. The Uchiha clan itself has become more arrogant and wayward. Your clan treats the villagers rudely. What about Uzumaki? The red-haired woman asked. Rumors about the red-haired devils have spread among people again. People with blood-red hair, with a sea of blood and murder behind their backs. You are feared and feared. People almost raise a riot that such dangerous shinobi live in the village. Someone definitely spread this information to spoil the attitude of the residents towards the Uzumaki clan. But who would want such a thing? Naruto thought. Hokage-sama, I think we need to deal with the Uchiha clan first. First we need to improve the residents' relationship to the Uchiha clan. Shikaku said thoughtfully. Good. What are the ideas? To begin with, the Konoha police should soften the measures of order. Inoichi said. I think it would be better to fix the problem right away. The Uchiha clan is dangerous. Danzo-sama, why such conclusions? Or do you have something against the Uchiha clan? Naruto asked. No. I'm sorry, I think that any threat to the village should be destroyed. Really? Even if that threat is you? After the girl's words, Danzo did not change in any way in his face, only he began to hate her more. Let's arrange an attack on the village, and the Uchiha clan and Uzumaki will neutralize the criminals in front of people. Hayashi suggested. It might not work. Moreover, young children will get a mental trauma, and adults, seeing that the clans quickly neutralize the criminals, can both stop being afraid of them and start being more afraid. Choza said. I propose to arrange a fair organized by the Uchiha clan and Uzumaki. This will solve the problem of two clans at once, and the children will have fun. Shikaku said. The Uchiha clan is too proud to participate in such a thing. Fugaku said coldly. Fugaku-san, in that case, I suggest putting Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Sasuke in charge. They are the geniuses and pride of the clan, the Uchiha should follow them. Not a bad idea, Naruto-san. Then what about your clan? Uchiha replied. Uzumaki is a peaceful clan. We love fun and holidays. We will be only too happy to participate in the fair. We will also take up the entertainment of children. Naruto smiled. If everything is settled with this, then what will happen at the fair and where will it be located? It is best in the center of the village. You can decorate the streets with garlands. Why? Yes, to create a pleasant atmosphere. Cook homemade food, then sell it at the fair. Why? Yes, because homemade food tastes better. The head of the Aburame clan replied in his own manner. It's better to arrange a fair next week. Let's vote. Who agrees with the fair? Everyone raised their hands. Well, unanimously. I declare the meeting over. Thank you for your attention. How tiresome it all is. I want to sleep. Naruto whimpered, collapsing on the sofa in the kitchen. Yes, you want to sleep all your life. Kurama rolled his eyes. By the way, what are you cooking? Pancakes with cherries and chocolate chips. These are my favorites. I don't want to sleep anymore. Naruto got up from the sofa and walked over to her brother, somewhere far away. Why do you need this? Just revenge for the past. The hour of reckoning will come soon. I will find Kitsune and kill her in any way. Oh, good. I'll take care of it. The ash-haired man sighed. End of conversation. By the way, Naruto, did you know about the local angel? Kurama asked, looking somewhere to the side. An angel? No, I haven't heard of him. It's not a he, it's a she. Yumi's name is Nico. They say she is very beautiful and kind, constantly smiling and wants to become strong to protect everyone. There she stands, by the way. Kurama waved his head in the direction of a cute blonde girl with pink eyes. I didn't know you were a pedophile. The girl looked skeptically at her brother, who waved his hands in front of her. What are you? No. Well, that's your business. So why did you tell me about her? Naruto took a bite from a slice of lemon. Just like that. She's really cute. Oh, look, here comes. Hi there. The girl smiled brightly. My name is Yumi Nico, and you? The girl innocently batted her thick eyelashes. Cute. I'm Naruto. And this idiot is Kurama. Naruto started pulling the girl's cheeks. Nice to meet you. The girl smiled awkwardly, blushing a little. How old are you? Kurama asked. I'm 7 years old. And you? Oh, and I'm 8.5. 23. Naruto, hello. Sakura shouted, running up to her friend. Who else are you? The pink-haired woman stared at Yumi with displeasure. I'm Yumi Nico. Let's be friends. The blonde smiled and held out her hand to Sakura. Come on. Sakura reluctantly extended her hand. Suddenly there was a loud explosion. Naruto turned her head towards the sound. It happened on the side of the Uzumaki clan. What the hell? Naruto disappeared and appeared near the Uzumaki clan. The protective barrier is almost destroyed, the Uzumaki are in combat positions, and some have released the chains of the Fuso Kongo. She looked around. When the dust from the explosion descended, Naruto saw an adult ash-haired man with a mask on the floor of his face and a bored look. Who are you and what do you need? Naruto asked, releasing 10 chains of Kongo Fuso. She couldn't have used more than 2 techniques, otherwise suspicion would have started. Oh, Naruto. What a meeting. Do you remember me? Why would that be? Ayaye. Have you forgotten your savior? Kakashi? How? Naruto stared at Hatake in surprise. I played the role of Konoha's devoted shinobi flawlessly, didn't I? Kakashi lifted the blindfold from his eye. What do you need? I need a kitsune. She's here somewhere, isn't she? What are you talking about? I do not know and have not seen any kitsune. Naruto lied. Suddenly, a third Hokage and Uchiha Obito appeared next to her. Kakashi, what are you doing? Minato-sensei wouldn't approve of this. Obito shouted. Kakashi grinned behind his mask. Really? Do you know who was behind the attack on Konoha? Hiruzen's eyes widened. Did you attack Konoha? Think about it. He's stalling. Naruto disappeared and appeared next to her clansmen. Who fought against some black creatures? Divine purification. The scarlet chains hit each opponent and destroyed them. The creatures disappeared into the black smoke. I don't like it all. Naruto said tensely. Returning to Hiruzen and Obito, she was informed that Kakashi had retreated. Why Kakashi Kitsune? I didn't trust anyone here from the very beginning, apparently for good reason. Damn, I didn't think it would need to be done so soon. The girl thought. She updated the protective barrier, and the Konoha shinobi leveled the territory with the help of Dayton. Naruto was sitting in the kitchen and thinking over a plan. Recently, the foxes reported to her that Sand and Stone want to start a war. It was impossible not to take advantage of this. She needed to arrange her appearance, but at the same time a lot of people should see the 8-year-old girl Naruto. If I create a shadow clone and turn it into a girl, the shinobi of the Hyuga clan and Uchiha will reveal it immediately. On the contrary, it will not work either. What am I worried about? There doesn't have to be a kitsune there. I will create an inscription with a chakra and restrain everyone a little. I'm a genius. I will create a seal that Fyro will take, at the right time I will activate the seal and voila. Pleased with herself, Naruto went to write the seal. In 20 minutes. That's it, you don't even have to wait for a fight. I'll just announce my appearance. Fyro, can you lift the seal high into the sky, then pour some of your chakra? Of course, Naruto-sama. Fyro flew into the sky. Naruto went out onto the main street of the village. #may order rain on this planet. The bloody kitsune is back. #a bloody red inscription appeared in the sky. The fair went great. The Uzumaki clan staged a performance that many liked. Uchiha also walked around the fair, handing out sweets and small gifts to children. The relationship between the residents and the two clans has greatly improved. The Uchiha clan began to think that an uprising was not an option. Uzumaki, however, lived and live. Itachi, do you understand? Yes. You should not destroy the clan in any case. Danzo only wants to take your eyes. I've put danger seals on you and Shursui. I will come at any time and help you. Thank you, Naruto-san. You can go, but be on the alert. Danzo's people are everywhere. Itachi broke up into a flock of ravens. Roxy, do you think we should follow him? Definitely, Naruto-sama. Well, then I trust it to you. Can you handle it? Yes, don't doubt me. The fox squeaked contentedly. Author, who does not know foxes squeak, well, or make strange sounds, more like a squeak. Naruto got up from the clearing and stretched. The weather is beautiful outside, birds are singing a melody known only to them, children are having fun on playgrounds, shinobi are performing missions, and ordinary people are trading in the market, deceiving inattentive buyers. The sun shines brightly, warming the earth, and a light breeze refreshes. In general, I like rain more. Naruto thought and walked towards the center of the village. During all this time, she became more friends with Yumi and trained Sakura more often. The blonde is really very kind, you can talk to her on different topics or just weave wreaths. Walking down a small street, Naruto was knocked down by someone. Although she was 8.5, Kurama accelerated her development. Based on this, Naruto looked somewhere on 12 to 13. I'm sorry, please. A black-haired girl of about 12 waved her hands. Oh, it's okay. Haruko, you have to be careful. A black-haired man with a blindfold said with displeasure. I'm sorry, I was just thinking. Naruto looked thoughtfully at the black-haired girl with the same black eyes. Her chakra was kind of weird. If every child has glimpses of the chakra of the father and mother, then this one has only the father, but even that one was very strange. Naruto felt the man's chakra very weakly. It was kind of strange, but the girl was never allowed to figure it out. You seem to have hurt your leg. Can we help you? The girl said sadly. It's okay, I'll walk myself. Naruto got to her feet and immediately fell back. She sprained her right ankle. Please excuse me. Let me help you. Haruko looked at Naruto with puppy dog eyes. Although this technique did not work for the red-haired woman, she agreed. Good. I live on the territory of the Uzumaki clan. The man picked up the girl in his arms and headed towards the clan. Naruto noticed their clothes. The man was dressed in a black hoodie, under which he could see a black jumpsuit, like a shinobi, long hair gathered in a high ponytail. The girl was dressed in ordinary clothes, a blue t-shirt, a black sundress, a red hoop on her head, a belt of the same color and blue shinobi shoes. Who are you, exactly? I haven't seen you in the village. Naruto asked with a slight smile. The man has strong hands, he is definitely a shinobi. And we are traveling magicians, but sometimes we do the work of shinobi. Traveling is dangerous, so life has taught me. Haruka replied cheerfully. And what is your name? The red-haired woman turned to the man. Mitoshi Yami. The answers are short and clear. He's been through a lot. What's your name? The brunette asked. Uzumaki Naruto. The brunette hesitated a little, then continued on her way. Mitoshi-san, how did you get this scar on your arm? I cut myself with a katana. Do you know how to use a katana? Naruto asked with feigned interest. Yes, I am a master in this business. The man chuckled a little, and Naruto inside grinned, looking at his mouth. The bandage covered his eyes and nose. Naruto lifted her head up and looked at the sky. Oh, it's Farina. PB. This is such a bird, what a rarity to see it here. The man raised his head up. The mask lifted slightly, showing half of the nasal septum. The protective barrier let 3 people in. Well, since you helped me, I'll treat you to tea. Thanks. The girl smiled. Mitoshi and Haruko entered first, and Naruto followed them. Mitoshi and Haruko sat down at the table, and Naruto put the tea to brew. She opened the refrigerator and took out a jar of cucumbers. Damn cucumbers. Who is twisting the banks like that? The girl muttered under her breath with displeasure. The man looked at her with a smile, and Haruko with a skeptical expression. Can't you open a jar of cucumbers? The man came up and opened the unfortunate jar. Oh, thank you, Mitoshi-san. The brunette sat down. Naruto's face changed to a serious one. She stood on her sore leg. Well, hello, Spec. A moment later, a 19-year-old girl with fox ears and tails stands in front of the guests. You screwed up. Madara sighed and pulled the blindfold off his eyes. How? Your gestures, facial expressions, wrinkles and a scar on the septum of the nose. It was obvious that you were trying to hide it, but not from me. The girl turned to Madara. She looked at him in shock. What's wrong with your eyes? She rushed to the brunette, looking shocked at the white eyes. It doesn't matter, because I will disappear after you learn this technique. Madara handed the girl an ancient scroll. I sacrificed my Sharingan and my eyesight to save your life. The man smiled bitterly. Don't worry about me. The brunette hugged the red-haired woman. Naruto took a deep breath and exhaled. Secrets should remain secrets. You must erase my memory of you. I left a chakra message on a scroll, so I'll learn the technique. Mom, look into my eyes. Haruko said seriously, activating the three-tone Sharingan. What a good fellow you are. Naruto smiled affectionately and fainted. We don't exist anymore, do we? Yes, dear, she has the scroll. Our future is saved. Madara and Haruko have disappeared from this world. What am I doing on the floor? The red-haired woman rubbed her head, but noticed that there was a scroll lying next to her. Use it wisely. And who comes up with such complex messages? Kitsune took the scroll with displeasure and began to read it. Technique of treatment. It is used only once in a lifetime, restores the chakra circulation system. I wonder who brought it to me. I have a bad feeling, I'll probably learn it. Naruto didn't even notice how a year had passed. Surprisingly, nothing happened. Kitsune trained Sakura, sometimes Yumi watched the training. Naruto's body is already 10.5 years old. Naruto-san. Naruto-san, wait for me. Yumi shouted, running up to the red-haired girl and smiling brightly. Did you want something, Yumi? Naruto-san, if you're not busy, help me pick flowers. I don't know how to make beautiful bouquets at all, and I really need a bouquet from that clearing. Yumi with such eyes asked for help. It seemed that even the Hokage would not refuse her such a stupid request. Naruto has lived a lot, without even knowing how much. She has not been led to these eyes for a long time. What's wrong with that clearing? Naruto asked indifferently. She was quite bored and it was a good idea to go to the clearing with flowers. There are very, very beautiful flowers there. Please, can you help me? Naruto sighed. If there are such beautiful flowers there, then it's a sin not to make a bouquet. After the words of the red-haired girl, Yumi smiled happily. It seemed to Naruto that light was coming from her. Hi, Yumi. You're as cute as ever. Obito smiled as he passed by. Thank you, Obito-san. The blonde smiled happily once more. Sasuke, you bastard. Give me the tomato. The evil Sakura was chasing Sasuke, who took her tomato. Naruto and Yumi went to the clearing. When they arrived, Naruto understood why the blonde wanted to make a bouquet of these flowers so much. A wide variety of flowers, poppies, buttercups, dandelions, daisies, tansy, cornflowers, catchments, anemone, bells, carnations, letter, narrow-leaved cypress and many, many others. There are really very beautiful flowers here. Yumi began to collect the bouquet under Naruto's guidance. Yumi shouted, falling on the flowers and accidentally throwing a hogweed on Naruto's face. The red-haired woman closed her eyes and removed the flower from her face. A plant with many small flowers fell on the grass, and Naruto sneezed. Naruto-san, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. There was a rock, and I fell, and... Nothing. Naruto interrupted Yumi. She looked at the blonde's hand. Yumi, what's wrong with your hand? Yumi's hand was covered with small blisters and red spots. I remember being told that I was allergic to some flowers. Don't worry, it will pass quickly. Yumi smiled, hiding her hand behind her back. Let this be my punishment for carelessness. Naruto did not betray the importance of Yumi's allergy. After all, she took a lot of flowers in her hands, or so it seemed to Yumi. Now add this color. Naruto staggered and put her hand to her head. Everything was blurred in my eyes, it became difficult to breathe. The whole body broke. Naruto-san, are you all right? Yumi grabbed Naruto's hand. It's okay, you don't have to squeeze my hand like that. Yumi quickly released the red-haired woman's hand. Suddenly, Anbu jumped out of the lush bushes. They took up fighting positions. Yumi looked at them in shock, and Naruto looked cold. What does all this mean? It means that you're bothering me, Uzumaki Naruto. Danzo stepped forward. Are you really sure you're going to get away with this so easily? Killing the head of the clan is a lost cause. Naru covered Yumi with herself and clutched the pendant in her hand. Don't try to stall for time. Forward. Anbu launched an attack. Scarlet chains burst out from behind Naruto's back and flew at the enemies. One chain pierced the arm of one of the Anbu, and everyone dodged the rest. The chains retracted. Foot tone, cutting. Sweat. The red-haired woman fell. One of the Anbu swung to kill Uzumaki, but immediately caught fire with a scarlet flame. Naruto. Kurama ran up to his sister, after which he glared at Anbu and turned his cold gaze on Danzo. Kurama stood up. The pendant on his neck glittered, his scarlet eyes flashed, and all the Anbu lit up. Danzo started to step back, but Kurama was more concerned about his sister's condition. Disappear. Yumi shuddered and ran away. Kurama started scanning the body. After a few seconds, he frowned and started the treatment. The red-haired man lifted his sister in his arms and with the help of the seal was at home. He put her on the bed. Naruto's face had small blisters and reddened areas of skin. She was breathing heavily and apparently had an elevated body temperature. Kurama resumed treatment. Naruto took the form of a kitsune, unable to hide it. The ears drooped, the face resumed its former appearance, and the breathing and pulse stabilized. The girl opened her eyes and assumed a sitting position. Naruto, what happened to you? Kurama, don't shout, my head hurts terribly. Thank you for the treatment. The red-haired woman rubbed her head. Everything was under control. Was the fact that you almost died also under your control? Kurama said with displeasure. Yes. The sister answered indifferently and got out of bed. She went to the kitchen and came back with an orange in her hand. Kurama looked at her in surprise. What? Kurama raised his eyebrows and, looking somewhere to the side, shook his head in displeasure. But we have a great opportunity to get rid of Danzo. Naruto grinned, chewing an orange. Then she sighed. Remind me to learn Tobi's technique. Why do you need it? I want to resurrect them and punish them properly. The girl smiled sweetly and cracked her fingers, which made the red-haired man turn pale. How are you going to remove Danzo? Can't you do the same thing you did with Madara? I started translating the Kurama theme. Kurama. Firstly, the technique of submission has already been lost. Secondly, I used it on Madara by accident. It's no good looking into my eyes. Naruto crossed her arms in displeasure. Speaking of Danzo. Yumi will be able to confirm that he attacked me. So you knew everything from the very beginning. Now it's clear. Kurama grinned. Will you go to Hiruzen? Yes. Okay, but lie down for another 3 hours, you need to fully recover. Looking at the staggering girl, Kurama said. Yes, you're right. You need to be more careful with the local plants. Naruto lay down on the bed. Can you learn some treatment techniques? You know that's impossible. I would like to learn spontaneous techniques. And then I only know 5. Author: in the anime, Naruto did not know natural techniques, but he was very strong. So there is a similar situation here. Naruto is not an imba and not super strong. Shinobi embellish her abilities and strength too much. Who wrote that she was too strong? Well, if after living for so many years she was at the level of genin, it would not be logical. Naruto? Why did you come here? And good afternoon to you, Hokage-sama. I came to you to report an attack on me by Danzo Shimura. Naruto said seriously. Naruto, what kind of jokes? Why would Danzo do that? Hiruzen laughed. Hokage-sama, please take my words seriously. This incident may well be confirmed by Yumi Nico, as well as Uzumaki Kurama. Your ANBU can also check the place of the attack. Hokage sighed, which angered the girl. Good. Call Yumi Nico and Uzumaki Kurama to me. A moment and ANBU, standing in the corner, disappeared. After 5 minutes, Yumi and Kurama entered the office. Grandpa Hiruzen. I'm so glad to see you. Yumi smiled happily. Kurama chuckled. Hi, Yumi. Hiruzen smiled. Naruto frowned, looking at the Hokage and the blonde. Hokage-sama, can we continue our conversation? Uzumaki said calmly. Oh, yeah. Yumi, Kurama, can you confirm Danzo Shimura's attack on Naruto Uzumaki? Yes. Both answered. Then describe everything to me from beginning to end. I heard you, you can go. The red-haired man and the blonde left the village head's office. Naruto. Hiruzen sighed. Danzo is the village elder and my advisor. I can't detain him. Not many people will believe the words of a 9-year-old girl and your cousin. Danzo has a lot of power in the village. The words of the Hokage seriously angered the head of the Uzumaki clan, but she did not show it in any way. The girl sighed and turned her back to the Hokage. You should think about changing advisors and elders, Hokage-sama. I had no idea that you were so soft. Going to Hiruzen was a stupid idea. Kami-sama, why do I need all this? I want to go to Madara. The girl whined, sprawled on the bed. Are you going to die? Kurama asked with displeasure. Naruto became sad. Why do I have to be reborn every time? I don't want to live here. I want to go to Madara. The red-haired woman hugged the pillow, burying her face in it. Kurama sat down next to her. Our cycle of rebirth will end after we fulfill our purpose in life. And how do I understand what my purpose is? Keep order. I don't want to do this nonsense that Hagoromo assigned me. I want to live a normal life and die normally. I do not know what it could be. Perhaps something will need to be done in the future, and it is possible to correct the mistakes of the past. The guy sighed, stroking his sister on the back. What mistakes of the past? If I don't even remember my past. I don't know your past either. I only remember that your father brought you and said that you were my sister. Hey, don't cry. Let's resurrect Madara and find a way to revive him. Kurama, you know that only Rinnegan can resurrect a person. We don't have one. I'm tired of pretending to be strong and establishing order. I don't want to do it. The red-haired man hugged the girl. There was either a seal or an oath on it, which forced me to do everything to keep order. Otherwise, the body was pierced by unbearable pain. Kurama, I have found my goal. I want to break the cycle of reincarnation and die. Flashback. Well, I don't want to. I want to live normally. I'm tired of reminding them that wars are bad. The girl hugged her knees, but she was immediately pierced by severe pain all over her body, which caused tears to come out of her eyes. Unable even to shout, the red-haired woman whispered. Madara sat down next to her and hugged her. "We'll find a way to get this oath off you." Uchiha whispered, stroking Uzumaki on the head. Naruto jumped out of bed, breathing heavily. "What happened?" "I heard a noise." Kurama ran into the room in a red apron. Naruto sat down on the bed. She straightened her hair with trembling hands. "Nightmares," the girl took a deep breath and exhaled. "It's okay." "Are you sure?" "Yes." Kurama hugged Naruto and carried her to the kitchen, where he put her on the sofa. The guy went back to cooking fried potatoes. "Naruto, the foxes found one uzumaki in the village hidden in the grass." "Good." Somehow the red-haired woman answered indifferently. "Kurama, I'm going to get some air." Naruto was sitting under a tree, leaning against a tree. She was completely lost in her thoughts, not noticing anything around her. "Naruto! Naruto! Ow! Earth summons Uzumaki Naruto." Sakura sat in front of the girl and tried to bring her out of her thoughts. She was wearing a red top with white inserts and shorts. Her long hair was tied in a high ponytail, leaving 2 strands in front. Naruto shuddered, looking at the pink-haired one. "Did you want something?" "Oh, you're finally awake. I already thought that Tsunade would come back faster than you would come out of your thoughts." Sakura muttered with displeasure. Naruto looked at her thoughtfully. "Can you already tell me what world you're from?" The red-haired woman asked calmly. Sakura looked at her in shock. "What world? What are you talking about?" The girl smiled awkwardly. Naruto also looked into her eyes thoughtfully. Sakura sighed. This look seemed to look into the soul. "You're right, I'm from another world. Got into this body after death. But you're not who you say you are either." The girl looked seriously at the thoughtful Naruto. The red-haired woman sighed. "You're right. How did you understand that? In the original story, you should be a silly, smiling and kind Naruto boy. It's not like that here. I realized who you are only because I compared the differences." "I see. What are you going to do next?" "In general, I want to become strong so as not to rely on the strength of others. And so, I want to help you with your goals." Sakura paused, then continued. "Aren't you afraid of being overheard?" Naruto sighed and looked somewhere to the side. Sakura looked the same way. "So you thought it all out from the beginning? Yumi too? She stayed alive because you need her, right?" "Yes. Hogweed is a dangerous plant from which you can die. I knew it from the very beginning. But my body won't let me die so easily. The future has changed a lot. Starting with the rescue of the Uchiha clan, ending with the fact that you are a kitsune." There was silence, which Sakura decided to interrupt. "Will you train me?" Naruto sighed. "Good, direct the chakra into your hands, and at the moment of impact, sharply splash it out." Sakura threw and did everything they said. "Take it." The ground cracked and rose up from the impact. Chakra control at the highest level. Shursui appeared next to the girls. "Hi there." "Morning, Shursui. Shall we conduct sparring?" "Of course." Naruto raised one eyebrow, looking at these two. "Kimiko, Aston. Itachi, go write a chapter." "Kimiko, I have an author's crisis." "Itachi, you have an author's laziness. You have a plan already written, you just need to write chapters." "Kimiko, straight face. Listen, what are you doing in my head?" "Itachi, __. Kimiko, I'm going to sleep it off." "Kurama, bring me the documents." A 19-year-old girl was running around her office looking for something. Kurama brought a stack of documents. You idiot, these are not the ones. On the 6th shelf, in the 5th compartment, the folder, Janini. Kurama took the documents and ran after the others. There was a knock on the door. Naruto took a deep breath and exhaled and sat down at the table. Come in. Point 2. Adult Uzumaki entered the office. Naruto-sama, you asked for a list of all genins with their characteristics. The first guy put a folder on the table. And you asked me to bring a list of all applicants to the academy. The second guy put 2 sheets of paper on the table. Naruto sighed and, massaging her forehead, ran her hand through her hair to the top of her head. Okay, go ahead. The guys bowed briefly and disappeared into Shunshin. Kami forbid. Why is there so much work? Kitsune sighed. A girl of about 12 jumped on the windowsill. Can I help you? I was passing by here, I think I'll look in, see how you're suffering. Sakura laughed. Naruto looked at her irritably and shook her tails in displeasure. Well, since you're so smart, Naruto put Sakura in front of her with her tail and put a large stack of documents in front of her. Good luck, Sakura sighed and started reading the documents. Did you manage to talk to the head of the Uchiha? Kitsune suddenly asked. Yes. Everything turned out as you expected. I got close to Sasuke and offered him sparring at the Uchiha clan training ground, under the pretext of not revealing the secrets of the Uchiha power. We practiced until nightfall. Itachi came to us and with the words, "It's rude to let a tired girl go alone," invited me to their house. They fed me, and after dinner I managed to stay alone with Fugaku-san and talk about the affairs of our clans. He agrees to an alliance between the clans, but the problem is at the top. Naruto looked thoughtfully at the table, putting the side of her index finger on her lips. Our biggest problem is at the top. Naruto paused, thinking about something. We need to do something with the top. Hokage will soon notice my connection with you and Sasuke, and this could result in a big problem. The pink-haired woman said thoughtfully. Do you have seals that can help you get into the root archives? All documents about the dark deeds of the elders and Hokage should be stored there. Naruto thought about it. On the one hand, getting into the most secure and secret place in the village is incredibly risky, on the other hand, it will solve all the problems. Sending Sakura to negotiate with the head of the Uchiha is also risky. Naruto can't go by herself or send an official letter about the request for negotiations because of Danzo and Hokage. She noticed from the very beginning that she was being monitored around the clock outside the clan barrier. Danzo oppresses both the Uchiha clan and Uzumaki in every possible way. After the fair he calmed down, but now he realized that it was time to act. There are more and more problems. We need to develop a plan. Sakura, who are you teaming with? Naruto asked hopefully. Sakura bit her lip. With Sasuke and the man from the root, Sai. Sakura said with displeasure. Naruto frowned. It cannot be eliminated. This will only increase suspicion. Kitsune got up from her chair and went to the window. Why can't you just reveal that you are a Kitsune? Sakura looked at Uzumaki with incomprehension. Naruto sighed. It will cause more problems. Yes, the top will moderate their ardor, but it will only be for show. In fact, villages will find out that Kitsune is Konoha shinobi. Konoha will abruptly begin to oppress other villages. Anbu Root and Hokage will try to tame me. People will be unhappy that the Keeper of Order, who has not been around for 100 years, abruptly showed up and began to command. Because of this, the situation of the clan will worsen. Uzumaki in the village. Should I continue? Sakura fell silent. Everything is so bad. The girl continued to read the documents. Naruto sat down at the table and continued to sort out the affairs of the clan. simultaneously thinking about her further actions. Naruto sighed, lounging in her chair. As soon as she closed her eyes, a memory popped into her head. Flashback. Naru, are you done? Madara was sitting on the windowsill near Kitsune's chair. Yeah. The Uzumaki clan was asked to help with the documents. Naruto leaned against the back of the chair and closed her eyes. It was already night outside. Madara took the girl in his arms and put her on the sofa. Get some rest. Madara was about to leave, but his hand was grabbed. Stay here. Naruto sleepily opened her eyes, then closed them again, falling asleep. The brunette sighed, lifting the corners of his lips. Uchiha sat down next to Uzumaki, and stroked her head, smoothing her fluffy ears a little. The end of the flashback. Naruto. Earth summons Kitsune. Naruto abruptly opened her eyes, staring at Sakura in surprise. Have you woken up yet? Hokage called you there. Kurama reminded, watering a flower on the shelf. Naruto sighed and hid her ears and tails, regaining the human form of a 15-year-old girl. Good afternoon, Hokage-sama. Naruto bowed weakly. Good afternoon. I summoned you to raise the rank of shinobi. The old man smiled. Genin can be the head, the main thing is that there are brains. But for other villages, this is a sign of weakness. Naruto thought. You will temporarily leave the post of head of the clan and will carry out missions like an ordinary kunoichi. Do you want me to gain experience and be able to protect the clan? The girl sighed. Exactly. Your brother will take the post of head of the clan. Maybe he wants to keep me away from the clan and the village, although, I'm the village's weapon, it's not logical. Flashed through the girl's head. Where should I go? Weasel. Anbu appeared in front of the Hokage's desk. This will be your last assignment as Anbu. You have to evaluate the skills of Naruto Uzumaki and, with good judgment, give her the appropriate shinobi rank. You will go on missions together. Hi, Hokage-sama. Anbu took off his mask. Wants Shursui to subdue the fox in case of anything. But there is no fox. Naruto smirked inwardly. You can go now. Shursui and Naruto disappeared. They appeared at one of Konoha's secret training grounds. Shall we start? Shursui moved some distance away from Naruto. The girl nodded and tossed a pebble. The pebble fell and the shinobi immediately collided in battle. Naruto swung for a vertical blow with the kunai on the shoulder, but her hand was intercepted and, throwing over herself, Shursui was behind and put the kunai to the neck. Puff F. The clone has dissipated. Shursui began to look around with his Sharingan activated. His legs were grabbed and pulled down, but Uchiha used the body replacement technique. Naruto appeared at the training ground. Futon, cutting thread, waves of cutting wind flew into the tree behind which Shursui was hiding. The tree was cut into several pieces, and Shursui, appearing over Naruto, sent a fireball into her. Uzumaki reacted quickly and jumped to the side. Zanzo Bunshin. Uchiha whispered and a lot of Shursui mirages appeared around Naruto, who immediately rushed to Uzumaki. Naruto released the chains that flew into the mirages, but she could not hit Shursui, who moved to his mirages every time. Shursui rushed at the girl with a katana when she dispelled all the mirages. Kai. Naruto dispelled the genjutsu and Shursui was already standing in front of her. Not bad. My genjutsu is very difficult to dispel. The guy said coldly, and the girl with a sharp blow of her elbow back scattered Shursui's clone, without taking her eyes off the original, but without looking into her eyes. Shursui appeared on the right and made a cut. Naruto smirked imperceptibly and fell. Shursui put a kunai to the red-haired woman's neck. But his eyes widened when he felt a cold on his neck, his body was abruptly wrapped in strong anxiety, and a chill went down his back. Uchiha has never felt that death is so close. He got out of the most dangerous situations, even when death stepped on his feet and touched his back with his hands. But now it seemed to him that there was not a young girl standing behind him, even though Jinchuriki, but a terrible monster, whose gaze made the blood run cold in his veins. Damn. We need to get this over with. I can't hold back the force for long. The girl thought, removing the key that had escaped so undesirably. You won. Shursui exhaled. Naruto stepped back. Shinobi shook hands as a sign of reconciliation. Thanks for the fight. I hope we work together. I will be glad to cooperate. Your fighting skills are amazing, but I noticed that you are holding back. Why, if it's not a secret? As expected from the genius of the clan. Naruto thought. Shouldn't shinobi have secrets? You're right, Naruto-san, but before I give you a rank, I'll ask you one question. You are a commander on a mission, one of your subordinates is seriously injured, but the remaining 3 are fine. You can go to the hospital and save a subordinate, but you will fail the mission. What will you do? I could say that I just won't allow this, but no. It all depends on the importance of this shinobi for the village. He's important. This is a strong jonin. Shursui replied. I will send one subordinate to send the wounded to the hospital and continue the mission with the rest. And if there is only a wounded man and you in the team? Depends on the importance of the mission. Naruto said calmly. The mission is very important for the village. Then I would have continued the mission and left my clone with the wounded one. Shursui smiled. I give you the rank of jonin. Follow me. It is necessary to issue documents and notify the hokage. Naruto nodded. Well, Blaiin. I do not know what to write. The girl whined, sitting at her desk. What's wrong with you? Itachi asked calmly, looking at the papers in front of her. I need to show Naruto's wisdom in fan fiction and add something interesting in order to interest readers. Take something from your philosophical reasoning. Uchiha said without interest. The author looked at him skeptically. Then no one will understand it, it will be too tedious and boring. I'm not a writer. Itachi left, and the brunette whined bitterly again. Naruto entered the room. And when is the shooting? I'm ready now. Naruto looked at the author skeptically. Obito and Kakashi are also sitting whining. They say that you want to bring them together. The girl's mood changed abruptly. Wayo entered the chat. Naruto, we're going to the playground. The sooner I write the plot, the sooner Obito and Kakashi's relationship will begin. The brown-haired woman grabbed Naruto by the hand with immeasurable enthusiasm and dragged her along. Careful! Sakura shouted after the girls. Madara was sitting in the dressing room and drew cracks on his face. Madara! The author shouted. The concentrated Uchiha jumped up on the spot and looked at her with hatred. The girl smiled awkwardly and quickly left. I've been drawing this shit for 2 hours. Angrily shouted in the wake of the brown-haired Uchiha. Naruto looked at her husband with displeasure. Sit down. I'll draw it now. The red-haired woman sat the brunette on a chair and began to finish the cracks, erasing the incorrectly drawn lines. Are you done? Tsunade came into the dressing room with a bottle of sake. That's it. Handsome. Naruto said, pleased with her work. Well, Madara. We have already realized that you are beautiful, let's follow the plot. The author shouted. Madara snorted arrogantly and turned his head away. Can I punch him? Tsunade asked, rubbing her fist. The author ignored her words and looked at the main character. Naruto. You don't have to laugh with the Hokage at all, but be angry at them. We're filming a war. I'm not going to shoot with red eye. Kurama waved his tails and arrogantly left. The girl wept bitterly from despair. Dracula-sama, give me strength. Come on. All is not lost yet. Sasuke chuckled cheerfully. The brown-haired woman seemed to have an eye twitching. Don't say anything at all. Who laughed the whole scene where Naruto Sakura trains? Sasuke awkwardly scratched the back of his head and, having reasoned sensibly, quickly left. Some guy approached the author. When is my exit already? Pontu, get out of my sight. The guy waved his demonic wings in displeasure and left. Sherry, help me. I do not know what to write. Her assistant approached the girl. Go write porn. The assistant said serenely. What the hell is porn? I need something interesting. Sherry was gone. To the brown-haired woman. Naruto came up. Girlfriend, don't worry. They will be filmed. The red-haired girl pointed her finger in the direction of the fox and Uchiha, who were sitting with bumps on their heads. You're my son. The girl hugged Naruto. I've been waiting for you, Hashirama. Madara shouted loudly, landing on a rock and scattering the dust. I'll deal with you later. Hashirama looked at Madara seriously. Morally destroyed. Minato whispered, covering his mouth with his fist. That's it. I was offended. The war is over. Madara left, wiping invisible tears from his eyes. The author slapped her forehead. Hashirama burst out laughing. How did you shake me with your Uchikovsky miscarriages? The author whispered irritably. Itachi put his hand on the shoulder of the brown-haired woman. Hatred strikes only greater hatred. Uchiha said calmly, raising his index finger up and closing his eyes. Itachi, come from here with your clever phrases. The girl shushed him. Don't be angry, otherwise wrinkles will appear. Sai smiled falsely. The author, calm down. We know you're a hot-tempered person. Itachi stepped back, worried about his safety. You're going to burn alive at my stake, you fake bitch. The girl hit the brunette with her fist, which was easily stopped by Sai. Not strong enough. Sai gave another fake smile. The scarecrow. Itachi sighed, realizing that it would not end well. Well, everyone calmed down. Naruto and Sakura shouted, while the second struck the ground with her fist and large cracks began to appear on it. From the first came waves of terrible ki. Everyone froze. Madara, clenching his jaw in fear, approached his wife. It's fine. Do you understand me? Uzumaki glared at him with displeasure. Madara muttered something dissatisfied under his breath. By the way, why are we filming the war if we haven't filmed anything before? Conan asked. MP. It just happened. The author awkwardly looked away, then abruptly ran away somewhere. Deidara, don't blow up the shinobi stone. I still need them. Can I help you? Naruto licked his snow, white fangs, anticipating fresh blood. The brown-haired woman stared at him in surprise. You're from another fanfiction altogether, get out of here. The girl pushed the Naruto vampire out of the set. Orochimaru, get away from him. You won't get immortality. The author shouted to a man eager to take immortality from a vampire. Remind me again, why did you gather us? Madara grumbled with displeasure. You will answer readers' questions. The author answered cheerfully. I'm leaving. Madara did not have time to get up, as he received a slap on the head from his wife. "Can we start already?" Itachi asked. "Yes. So, questions for Naruto and Sakura. Will you reveal your identities?" I don't understand the question a bit. Even if I tell everyone that it's not Sakura, but a girl from another world, they will consider me crazy and won't believe me." Sakura replied. Naruto sighed. "I will reveal my identity only at the most critical moment." Madara hugged the red-haired girl. Next question. How difficult is it to manage a clan? The author read the question, rubbing her nose. "I won't say it's difficult, it's just a lot of work." Naruto said thoughtfully. "I often help Naru with cases. For the most part, the main work is with relations between clans, work with the clan economy and registration of Uzumaki who came to the village." Sakura sighed and bit into an apple. "Naruto, who is Kurama for you?" "They say he's like a mother hen." The author let out a chuckle. Kurama choked on air, and Naruto stared at the author in surprise. "Actually, I'm an independent girl, and he's just my brother." The red-haired woman lifted her chin proudly. "It's true. She has a lot of work to do, and I help with chores around the house." Kurama waved his tails. "But there will be much less work over time. Now it's just such a situation." Kitsune added. "Naruto cooks normally. Sometimes not very, but edible." Kurama moved away from Uzumaki, worried for his safety. "She cooks well." Madara hugged Uzumaki and looked coldly at Kurama. It seems that a flash of hatred flashed between the eyes of these two. "Chet, I'm scared." The following questions are for Kakashi. "Aren't you ashamed to lie to Obito?" The girl looked at Hatake questioningly. "Why should I be ashamed?" The author looked skeptically at Kakashi. The ash-haired man sighed. "Well, maybe a little." Next question. "Is there someone you love, or do you still go to girls?" Kakashi pointedly turned away. "I will not answer this question." Kakashi crossed his arms over his chest. Obito looked at him skeptically. "I'll get you and Obito together anyway." The brown-haired woman thought, smiling with anticipation. "Kakashi, how did you live with Madara?" Kakashi glared at Madara gloomily. "I survived." Hatake said coldly. Madara looked at him skeptically. "Yes, straight?" Uchiha's right eyebrow lifted. "You mumbled something about Naruto every night. And I also hung out sometimes, looking at one point. It looked creepy." Hatake said roughly. Madara rolled his eyes and kissed Nara on the top of her head, which made her smile. "Well. Okay." The last question to Kakashi, the girl began gloomily, reading the question. "Who is the leader of the Akatsuki?" Kakashi swallowed. "I could get killed for answering. I'll just say the name. It won't give them anything anyway. His name is Pontu." A kunai was put to Kakashi's throat. "I'm silent." The author removed the kunai, smiling sweetly. The following questions are for Madara. The girl began. "Zetsu, don't touch my cactus. He's almost dead as it is. Zetsu has disappeared." The brown-haired woman read the question and let out a laugh. "Are you very upset about Naru's death?" Madara looked at her coldly and the girl stepped back. She nodded. "So, very much." Next question. "I hope they don't kill me. I haven't finished the fan fiction yet." Madara, how did you not go crazy living with a white Zetsu? You'd better ask him that question. Uchiha snorted significantly. Apparently he? Madara, his? Zetsu, kept in fear. The author thought. Zetsu, what about your plans to release Kaguya? You can say that I walk on a thin thread. The plan is going smoothly, but it is very risky. I have nothing to do with Akatsuki. Zetsu replied. I see. Kakuzu, this is my money. The author ran away somewhere. Itachi chuckled. Ten approached Uchiha, starting to chat with him about something. I'm back. The author shouted. So. Sakura, do you like someone? To the question, the author Sakura tilted her head slightly to the right. Nobody. As Haruno answered by herself. I think that's it. This has already dragged on for a long time. Let's get back to filming. Shouted the brown-haired woman. Everyone got up from the platform, muttering something about the painful murder of the author and the injustice of life. This is the extra and the rest is over. Thank you for your attention, Carrot. Red Heart. And also, I really don't understand Hiruzen's stupidity. To lose such a powerful clan. This will greatly reduce the military power of the village. And Danzo, he's a bastard. Like a disciple of the wise Hokage, and hypocrisy, chickens do not bite. Tobirama destroyed what harmed the villages. He did not hate the Uchiha clan. I respect a ruler like him, cold and fair. I just expressed my dissatisfaction. Somewhere far away, can you move the Jinchuriki with Kamui? A man's voice sounded from under the black hood. No. Only objects and yourself. Kakashi replied. The ash-haired man felt the man grimace. Useless. The unknown man said coldly. Hatake didn't even move, although fear for his life enveloped him inside. The unknown looked at Hatake with glowing blood-red eyes. Kakashi swallowed. The unknown man took a small stone and brought it to the ash-haired man's face. If you get in the way, the same thing will happen to you as with this stone. Red Eye squeezed the stone, and it crumbled like dust. Hatake nodded silently. I need a Kuroshimaru blade? Kuroshimaru, Kuroshimaru. Translated from Japanese, torment. I give you a week. If you don't find it, you'll die. Kitsune must suffer before I kill her. Author, also a Kitsune who wants to die, _D. The unknown man said coldly and, with a last flash of his eyes, left. Kakashi exhaled shakily. Monster. The only thought flashed through Hatake's mind that I am Konoha. Are you serious now? Naruto asked. Kurama nodded. In a month there will be an exam for Chunin. Invitations have already been sent and approved. Kurama continued rummaging through the closet, choosing a suitable kimono. Kurama, where are you going? The red-haired woman asked with displeasure. The red-haired man looked askance at his sister. I have a date. Kurama mumbled, pulling out a beautiful kimono. Kurama, you have a date with documents now, not with women. Naruto shook her tails in displeasure. The ears twitched. Yes, fuck, Uzumaki Tsuke, remembering that he was the temporary head. Don't express yourself. I went. Naruto headed to the clan training ground. The girl chuckled, noticing how a little girl was being taught clan seals. There was a lively atmosphere in the clan. Everyone was busy with something, old people were having fun discussing something, small children were either playing or studying something. Adults carried out missions, were busy with business, or taught those very small ones. A little boy, about 6 years old, ran by Naruto. Kitsune, watch where you're running, or you'll fall. The red-haired woman smiled. The named boy stopped and smiled brightly. All right, Naruto-san. The boy ran somewhere. That's a fool. A boy walking calmly, about 10 years old, mumbled. Naruto grinned. You're Axel, the genius of the clan, isn't that what they call you? Uzumaki's voice certainly had a hint of mockery in it. Axel grimaced a little at the word genius. Naruto-san, please don't call me that. The boy replied calmly. It's easier to be ordinary than a genius. Isn't that right? Uzumaki, looking at the boy, grinned weakly and disappeared, leaving flames behind her. The red-haired one appeared at the clan training ground. The spacious clearing is surrounded by a small planting of tall trees and lush bushes. A glass-clear river flowed nearby. From the look of it, you can't say that this is a training ground, but in fact, the whole territory was just stuffed with a variety of traps. Uzumaki abruptly jumped back, dodging Sakura's blow. Before the girl even had time to blink, her ear twitched, and the sound of an explosion seal burning was heard from behind. A sharp jump up and a swarm of kunai and shurikens with explosive seals flies at the red-haired one. Scarlet chains burst out of his back and took the shape of a ball, protecting Kitsune. Sakura jumped up and was about to hit the ball when the chains disappeared and her hand was intercepted. Naruto wrapped her tails around Haruno's body, not letting her move. The kunoichi landed on the ground, and Naruto let go of the disgruntled Sakura. There's not a scratch on you. The pink-haired woman replied with displeasure. Naruto smiled. And you came up with a good plan and spent a minimum of effort. Training brings great fruits. Yeah. How are your missions going? Sakura sighed and opened the bento. She sat down under a nearby growing tree. Naruto twitched her ears and sat down next to her. What are his missions? Hokage decided to fill me up. I barely begged for a rest. How's your business going? I can't be alone with Sasuke in any way. This Sai is always with us. He's constantly watching us, it's very annoying. But it turned out to distract him for a couple of minutes. Sakura opened a small scroll. Sasuke gave it to me. He said it was from Fugaku. Naruto took the scroll and began to read. Hm. This, I think, will be enough to eliminate the elders. Nothing was found against Danzo. Hiruzen will be killed at the second stage of the Chunin exam. So everything is in a bundle. Sakura smiled. Slow down your ardor. It's not that simple. As you said, Hiruzen will be killed in the second stage. The retirement of the elders will take about a month, maybe less. Danzo can take advantage of the bustle in the village and eliminate the Uchiha clan. Kitsune frowned. But Uzumaki can put up barriers and stand up for Uchi. Naruto rubbed the bridge of her nose at Haruno's words. Even if it is. Both clans will suffer great losses. We don't even know the number of Anbu root. Moreover, we may not have time. It's too risky. As for me, the best option would be to eliminate Danzo. We should have Saitama in this world. Sakura whined. Naruto tilted her head slightly to the right. Who? Just like that. A simple man who can destroy a mountain with his finger. The girl waved her hand. Naruto looked at her in surprise. Holy foxes. I have a mission. The red-haired woman jumped up and disappeared. I would like to sit in a tick-tock. Sakura mumbled. Naruto appeared at the gate of the village, where Shursui and the customer were already waiting for her. Naruto-san, you're late. Uchiha chuckled. Uzumaki did not react to this in any way. Good afternoon. My name is Riboku Honuki. The customer bowed. Naruto nodded and the three of them set off. Shinobi and the customer walked in silence, which did not bother anyone. The builder constantly checked his drawings and corrected mistakes on the go. Shisui went first, followed by the builder. Naruto brought up the rear. The sun shone stronger and stronger, and the hot rays burned the tops of their heads. The red-haired woman took out a fan and began to wave, at least cooling down a little. Holy foxes, why is it so hot? Why didn't I take the thermoregulation seals? The girl thought, remembering with displeasure that ears and tails warm the body even more, even though they are locked up. I don't know how to explain it correctly. When she hides her appearance, the fur still warms her. Just know this and don't ask how and why. Riboku, who had apparently finished correcting the drawing, was waving the paper to himself strenuously. Shisui walked calmly, as if he didn't care at all. But Uzumaki perfectly heard the amplified Dahani and saw sweat on her forehead. Uchiha, what to say? Chirp chirp, the thin singing of a bird was heard. Naruto threw a kunai at her, pinning the bird to the trunk of a tree, which made it squeak loudly. Naruto-san, well, of course I understand that you are a shinobi, but why the bird? The man said softly, looking at the bird with sympathy. Shisui looked at him disapprovingly. Tits don't live in this heat. The feathers are clean and beautiful, and the color is very rare. Don't worry, the wing will heal quickly. The girl went up to the bird and carefully took it off, taking it in her hands. A scarlet chain burst out of Naruto's back and almost hit the mercenary, who quickly jumped back. Shisui activated the Sharingan, and Naruto bowed her head so that the smirk could not be seen. The girl stepped back and sealed the bird in a scroll. 3 men with numerous scars jumped out of the bushes. They were dressed in dark and open clothes. The trio of assassins. Shisui said softly. The men surrounded Shinobi and the customer. A trio of assassins? They are famous for the fact that they understand the actions of one person even without words. As if they feel it. I need to be careful, I use a lot of force, the cover will fall off. The red-haired woman thought, getting into a fighting position. Naruto, detain them. Shisui instantly picked up the customer and disappeared. It's only for the best. Naruto grinned, released the chains and formed a dome around herself. One of the men started throwing weapons at the girl, but the dome protected her. The second renegade created a huge mud wall behind Uzumaki. The second and third shinobi stood on the sides of the girl. Forbidden technique, soul absorption. Uzumaki's eyes widened. The men continued to say words unknown to the girl. Uzumaki removed the dome, but a huge amount of weapons immediately fell on her. Behind the wall, on the sides of the apostates that are pulling out more and more vitality. There are a lot of weapons in front. The girl jumped up and pointed the chains at all 3 of them. Ka. Naruto coughed up a lot of blood and sank to the ground, wiping away the blood. She still cut off the technique of those 2. The men disappeared and the girl jumped up again. The renegade's hands stuck out of the ground, never catching the girl by the legs. Naruto blocked the blow of the second and, pushing off from him with her foot, dodged the attack of the third. Only now did the girl notice that the first apostate had left. The girl jumped onto a tree branch, feeling an unknown chakra very close. Senbons flew into the man's neck and they fell to the ground. The ANBU of the village hidden in the fog immediately descended to them. Thank you for giving them away. Please leave this place. There are many secrets in their bodies. Shinobi took out special knives and, removing his clothes, began to cut the bodies of the apostates. Naruto went to the hearth of Shisui's chakra, which was about 4 kilometers away from the girl, and fought with the mercenaries, protecting the customer. They were waiting for him in ambush. When she came to Uchiha, Uzumaki saw only bound mercenaries, burnt earth in blood, and an unconscious customer. Shisui, on the other hand, was standing on a tree branch and inspecting the territory with a Sharingan. "We'll make a halt." The brunette landed next to the red-haired one, who nodded. Shisui picked up the customer in his arms and carried him somewhere. Naruto followed him. Standing on a tree branch, he was looking for a secluded place where he could make a halt. Tents were set up, a fire was lit, Shisui went for game, and Naruto began to cook soup. The customer has already fallen asleep in the tent under the quiet cradle of crickets. The stars shone brightly in the sky, like small lanterns, and the moon was the main one among them. It was heard from a tree branch. Naruto looked at the owl. Bright amber eyes glowed against a background of dark brown feathers. The girl smiled gently, thinking about something again. She looked painfully into the distance, the smile disappeared from her face, and her blue eyes flashed under the light of the moon. Shisui and Naruto sat silently by the fire, each thinking about something different, without interrupting the blissful silence. The guy looked at the red-haired one. "Naruto, can I ask you an indiscreet question?" A spark of amusement flashed in the brunette's eyes. Naruto nodded, continuing to look at the moon. "You look about 19 years old. Are you still a virgin?" Shisui looked at the girl with a mischievous grin, who did not move. Naruto silently looked at the stars. Looking at the same vile and thoughtful Naruto, Shisui was about to ask for forgiveness, but Uzumaki beat him to it. "Yes." The red-haired woman serenely told a true lie. The word "no" sounded like the truth, but in fact it's a lie. Flashback: Naruto and Madara were sitting in a small deserted clearing and looking at the moon in the night sky. Naruto. The girl made a quiet sound, laying her head on the guy's shoulder. "Listen, did you have someone before me?" Madara asked thoughtfully. His voice was very calm and lulling. Naruto thought about it, her eyes widened slightly. I don't remember. I don't even remember my childhood. I didn't have a boyfriend or a husband. Some kind of despair and resentment spread through my veins. The girl could not remember her parents, could not remember her childhood, she could not remember anything until the moment when she found brothers Tailed and father Rikudo. A slight grin appeared on Uchiha's face. "Don't tell me you're still going around with girls?" A quiet chuckle escaped from the lips of the brunette and sounded too close to Uzumaki's ear. Naruto blushed faintly, looking at Madara. "What do you want?" the girl asked in bewilderment. The guy grinned, chuckling again. "Stupid." A blissful epiphany overtook Uzumaki when she was knocked to the ground and kissed on the neck. "Author, bummer to you. If Beta agrees, I'll write a bed scene." Madara. "What are you doing?" Uzumaki shouted, stuttering and blushing. Uchiha only smiled maliciously and kissed her on the neck. A man's palm slid up his thigh, lifting a beautiful kimono. Naruto's ears pressed against his head, and his tails moved. The girl exhaled, putting her hands on the guy's back. Madara kissed Naruto's neck, gradually sinking lower. "We're in the yard." Uzumaki exhaled, suppressing a groan after another hickey. Uchiha squeezed the red-haired woman's thigh. "It just gets me more turned on." The golden belt from the kimono flew away somewhere to the side. The girl's tails immediately covered her breasts. Uzumaki was trembling weakly, either from fear of the unknown, or from impatience. The brunette pushed back his tails and looked at the girl, hanging from above. Red hair was scattered in waves on the green grass, blue eyes shone under the light of the moon, and the palms covering the embarrassed face trembled slightly. The guy pulled off his turtleneck, exposing his torso. Madara was lying next to Naruto, holding his head with his hand and grinning impudently. The red-haired woman hit him in the face with her tail. "Well, for what?" Uchiha asked with displeasure, removing his tail from his face. "Also tell me what you didn't like." The girl rolled her eyes and muttered something under her breath, in the likeness of, "Liked it, asshole." "What are you grinning at? Get dressed, or you'll catch a cold." Naruto covered herself with her kimono. Uchiha lay down on her and hugged her. "Warm me up with your ponytails, honey." The most serious and strong representative of the noble clan made a childish innocent face. "Fuck you." The answer came immediately. "If only in yours." Naruto exhaled and still wrapped Madara with fluffy and soft tails. The end of the flashback, Naruto. Naruto-san. The girl shuddered and looked at Sasuke. "What is it?" "Yes, you just hung up for a while." Uchiha awkwardly scratched the back of his head. The next day, after sending the customer to the right place, the shinobi went to Konoha. Naruto was walking between the trees, stroking a bird whose wing had already healed. Sasuke was whistling a tune known only to him, with his hands behind his head. It was easy to walk under a light breeze and the shinobi quickly reached the village. Uchiha went to the clan quarter, and Uzumaki went to submit a report on the completed task. "The mission has been successfully completed, Hokage-sama," the girl said without unnecessary emotions, putting a scroll on the table. "Okay. Here's the next mission." Without even looking at Uzumaki, Hokage casually put another scroll on the table, which Naruto didn't like at all. "This scroll needs to be delivered to the land of rice fields. I hope this is the last mission." The girl took the scroll. Hiruzen nodded without looking up from the documents. The red-haired woman left the office. The days passed unnoticed. Only the oppressive situation in the office of the head of the Uzumaki clan and Uchiha became more and more. Rumors about the excessive cruelty of the two clans spread among the people again. The Uchiha started planning an uprising. Two geniuses of the clan tried their best to change something. The Uzumaki clan was not particularly different. The shinobi were deeply dissatisfied with their bad reputation. Some began to think about the uprising, a third tried to somehow change their reputation, helping the residents with all their might and showing themselves from the best side. Naruto, who returned to the chair of the head, decided to take serious measures. "Good to see you, Fugaku-san." The girl rose from her chair and bowed weakly. Fugaku nodded. "Let's move on to the action plan." Uchiha sat down on a chair in front of Uzumaki. "The Chunin exam will be a great event to get rid of the top. I put together an approximate plan, it remains only to correct it." The red-haired woman put a piece of paper in front of Fugaku. After 2 hours of discussion, the plan was completely ready. And it looked like this: Uchiha neutralized the protection of people in the stands and take their place. Uzumaki take the place of the village leader's guard. The exam will be attended by a coordinated shinobi, who at the right moment will throw up a smoke bomb with pepper. It will be under the guise of an unsuccessful attack. At this time, the Uchiha will impose an illusion on the shinobi, and the Uzumaki will put a barrier around the Hokage. Only Kazekage remains. The seals might not work against him. Naruto leaned back in her chair with a thoughtful look. Fugaku closed his eyes, thinking. Kazekage is planning an attack. Sakura jumped on the windowsill. Fugaku looked at her seriously. "Where did you get this information?" This was reported by one of the Kazekage's confidants. Sakura with a sly smile took out a small bottle of blue liquid from her pocket. Truth serum. Naruto raised an eyebrow in surprise, then grinned weakly. This changes everything. We can negotiate with Kazekage. The only question is whether he will help us. Uzumaki's eyes cunningly lit up with blue lights. We'll make you. That's the first stage of the exam. Naruto and Kurama were standing near the Uzumaki children, near little Axel. What a nice boy. Kurama smiled sweetly, poking the boy's cheek with his finger. Silent and does not create problems. I would like such a son. The guy dreamily crossed his fingers near his cheek. Naruto looked at him skeptically. Axel did not react in any way to the antics of the stupid brother of the head. Axel. The boy turned to the head. I believe in you, good luck. Naruto ran her hand through the long scarlet hair of the shinobi and smiled warmly. I won't let you down, Naruto-san. Axel smiled and went to the first stage of the exam. I'm sure he'll take it seriously. Kurama looked seriously at the large building. We can only wait. The first and second stages of the exam were held and now, the long-awaited third stage has come. Naruto didn't like too much that Kazekage could ruin everything, so the ruler of the village hidden in the sands suddenly decided to rest on the way to Konoha. The forced sleep seal worked perfectly. The third stage of the Chunin exam is underway. Axel Uzumaki vs Yoshikoma. The examiner said loudly. Naruto looked absolutely calm, looking around at all the students with her eyes, without unnecessary emotions on her face. Kurama stood in the robe of a Hokage guard, preparing to put up a barrier. Which, in turn, should have been sent by Danzo. Everything turned out as well as possible. All the guards of the stands and the platform are shinobi Danzo Shimura, and now members of the Uzumaki and Uchiha clan. Even if they notice which shinobi are attacking the Hokage, all the blame will fall on Danzo, whose murder was postponed. Let him languish in prison. Only Sakura sat in confusion. She defeated Ino in a few seconds and stood all in thought, which seemed rather strange. I can't believe Orochimaru isn't interested in Sasuke's eyes. Although, the Uchiha are alive. Maybe he's got his eye on someone else? Weird. Maybe he's not a mad scientist in this world? No, it's some kind of nonsense. Haruno mentally racked her head. Cotton, smoke, people falling, purple barrier. Before the shinobi had time to catch themselves, their leader was already facing his death. Where is Danzo, you ask? And Danzo inhaled some kind of powder when he went to the Hokage and now sleeps without hind legs. Maybe it was a soporific powder? I don't know. Old people have their own cockroaches in their heads. You. I can't believe it. Hokage became serious. Hokage, there's no time to chat. Apparently Hokage trusted Shimura's subordinates too much. After all, when mixing some chemical elements, you can make a poison that quickly evaporates from the hot hand of Kurama. What a coincidence. The breeze blew directly on Hiruzen. Everything was going like clockwork. Danzo was accused of treason of the village, and the counselors were dismissed. Otherwise it's time to retire. Uchiha, as the main guardians of law and order, instantly began to help residents and shinobi, which greatly improved their reputation. The lord of the land of fire was sitting and thinking who would become the next Hokage. What about Fugaku Uchiha? In strength, he is equal to the fourth Hokage, and fair. One of the daimyo's advisors suggested. True, but I don't think he's experienced yet. What about Sannin Jiraiya? Or Tsunade Senju, the granddaughter of the first? Mr. Daimyo, I have learned some information about the lives of these two. And I can say with certainty that none of them will agree. Then it's decided. Somewhere far away, the time has come. We're going after the tailed ones. Soon I will have a power in my hands that the god of the world will envy. Pantu flashed his topaz eyes and left. Kakashi only bowed his head. Somewhere far away, it remains only to collect all the tailed ones and seal them into a statue. Then I will seal the 10-tail into myself and take revenge on Kitsune. The guy squeezed a pebble in his hand, and it crumbled into dust, falling to the ground. Pain, it's time to start our plan. I will lead you to eternal peace. The red-haired man nodded and left. Konoha Fugaku successfully became Hokage and installed new advisors, which are Shikaka Nara and Naruto Uzumaki. At the moment, these three were sitting in the meeting room. We need to do something about Naruto-san. Akatsuki will get to you. Nara turned to Uzumaki. What do you suggest? Naruto asked, without any interest. One of the great Sanins, Jiraiya, will arrive in the village in the near future, or maybe he has already arrived. You can go on a journey with him, hiding from Akatsuki. Fugaku, who had been silent before, spoke up. The girl tilted her head slightly to one side. Are you sure he can protect me? The head of the Uzumaki clan asked with undisguised doubt. Don't worry. Although he looks like a jerk, but Shinobi is strong. Yes, and he's your friend. Uchiha chuckled slightly. Naruto rolled her eyes. Although the girl did not want to, but Fugaku still revealed the truth to the whole village about who the daughter of the fourth Hokage and the bloody habanera is. What to say, Uchiha wanted, Uchiha did. Uzumaki herself was not happy that now she is met at every step by sycophants and guys who want to date her. The latter infuriated her to the edge, because of which the treasury of the village suffered greatly. Although the girl behaved mostly calmly, but her hot-tempered nature prevailed. As you say, Hokage-sama. Uzumaki responded listlessly. Naruto was walking through the streets of Konoha. The weather was just great. The sun shone brightly, warming everyone with its rays. Occasionally a light breeze blew. Maybe go to the hot springs? The girl thought, heading to the springs. As she walked to the entrance, she heard a barely audible giggle from the far wall. Interest got the better of her and she headed for the source of laughter. When she reached the wall, Uzumaki saw a lush white shock of hair that shuddered slightly. The rest of the body was hidden by lush green bushes. Crossing her arms over her chest, the girl coughed loudly and the shock of hair turned to face her. Oops, was the only thing the gray-haired pervert managed to say, flying into the nearest tree. Naruto could tolerate a lot of things: ignorant attitude, annoying flirting, smoke from smoking, dogs. But it was too much. Uzumaki approached the man, waiting for an explanation. Suddenly she noticed a notebook not far from the man. Picking it up, she read a few lines, then loudly slammed the book, closing it. Hey, you! A cold tone escaped from Naruto's mouth. Why were you spying on the girls, and even recording it? The girl's hair slowly began to soar up. But the confused shinobi looked at her with fear, lying on the grass. Noticing the girl's moving hair up, Shinobi got to his feet at the same second. Naruto, you've grown so much. The man hugged the girl, so much so that she almost suffocated. The girl hit the man in the stomach, which made him let her go. Who are you anyway? The red-haired woman walked away from him. Shinobi immediately got into a dorky pose, and a toad appeared under him. I am the great Sannin Jiraiya of Mount Miyaboku. Jiraiya shouted. Naruto fell into a stupor. Is this my godfather? Sad news flashed through the thoughts of the head of the clan. Well, he's arrived. Can I go on a trip? With a skeptical face, she asked Shursui, who was sitting on a branch. The guy jumped down from the tree. Fugaku-sama asked me to tell you. Go to him, and he will tell you everything. Uchiha smiled, thrusting a scroll into Uzumaki's hands. After that, Shisui disappeared into Shunshin. Naruto sighed and scratched in the direction of the Hokage's residence, and Jiraiya, smiling, followed her. Jiraiya, Naruto and Kurama were standing at the village gate. I'm going to miss you, little fox. Kurama pretended to wipe away an imaginary tear, making a face of universal sorrow. Uzumaki looked at him skeptically, and Jiraiya was looking for something in his map. Let's move out. Sannin shouted. The red-haired woman looked at him with displeasure. She really did not like noise and screams. Two shinobi left the village. As soon as they disappeared from the sight of the Nine Tails, he immediately changed his face. Grief was replaced by a smirk, and eyes full of resentment were replaced by eyes with a twinkle, fun and passion. Kurama quite turned around and with a free step almost in a hop went for a walk in bars and brothels, completely forgetting that the duties of the head of the clan had passed to him. Thought it would be worth giving Kurama a goodbye on the neck. I swear by my tails, I went to the bars. Naruto thought as she surveyed the area. After a while, the shinobi got to the country of hot springs. Jiraiya and Naru rented a room in an inexpensive hotel. But as soon as they entered the room, the man threw his things and went somewhere. Where to? Uzumaki asked, waiting for an answer. The white-haired man immediately became serious. To investigate. This is my secret mission, he said in a whisper and immediately disappeared. Naru blinked, something told her that there was no secret mission and she was divorced like a child. Fuck him. I'm going for a walk or something. The girl put on a dark blue kimono with white inserts and, closing the door behind her, went outside. The street was quite crowded. Some went shopping, others just walked, others worked, and some were looking for adventures in life. Like, for example, this teenager who ran straight at Naruto, looking back at someone. Where are your manners? The girl grabbed the 12-year-old guy by the collar and looked into his eyes, which were frightened. What are you watching? You can't run in such places. Uzumaki said calmly. The boy nodded and immediately disappeared from sight. I wonder where he ran from. Naruto thought, after which she heard a loud, "Oh, you scoundrel." The girl shook her head, recognizing Jiraiya's voice. Then she went to him. Approaching Sannin, Naruto was not even surprised by the picture presented. The old pervert was sitting and writing something down in his notebook, simultaneously looking through a small crack in the wall. Chains broke out of the girl's back, and in an instant she grabbed Jiraiya's book. Turning around with displeasure, the white-haired man saw the same picture when Kushina was at the peak of anger. His dark blue eyes seemed to sparkle with anger. Naruto took the book in her hands and tore it up. Hey! What are you doing? Sannin exploded. 5 more chains burst out of the girl's back and surrounded the man. Realizing that the case smells fried, Jiraiya decided to quickly get away, but his hands were wrapped in chains. Sannin. How low have you sunk that you're spying on girls? The word sounded as if in the man's head. Once again I notice something like this, you will regret that you even thought about it. The chains disappeared along with the girl, who left behind flames and remnants of a dark aura. Just like her mother. The man exhaled. Towards morning, Jiraiya returned to the hotel. He was very surprised to see Naruto sitting in a meditation pose. Closing the door behind him, the man sat down opposite the girl, studying her face. Something was wrong. The last time he saw her, there seemed to be stripes on her face. And she looks very grown up, although everything can be attributed to the nine-tailed, because with the maturation of the body, the seal weakens. Sannin once again looked at the face of his student's daughter, when suddenly she opened her eyes. "What is it?" the girl asked. "Who are you?" Suddenly a question burst out of Sannin's mouth. Uzumaki was taken aback by such a question. "That's a strange question." Uzumaki Naruto, daughter of Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki, the Jinchuriki of the Nine-Tailed. Naru calmly replied, as if to a stupid question from a baby. Jiraiya scratched his head, smiling awkwardly. The question somehow escaped by itself. The man lay down on his futon and fell asleep. Naruto looked at him with a stern look. Having decided something for herself, she lay down on her futon. The days passed quickly. Everyone brought some impressions. A beautiful girl, looking 19 years old, was walking along the forest path. Dark red hair cascaded down her back, shimmering in the sun with waves of fire. Blue topaz eyes sparkled under the rays of the sun. The girl was wearing dark blue shorts and a white t-shirt with a blue flame in front. The rays of the sun made their way through the crowns of the trees, illuminating slightly tanned skin. Thick eyelashes occasionally trembled, a slight, barely noticeable blush on the cheeks and plump lips. Naruto Uzumaki, that was the name of the walking girl. Next to her was a tall, white-haired old man in a green kimono and a red haori. Sannin looked without any shame at a good figure and hourglass of his companion. "My father would have noticed your look," Uzumaki said gloomily, without finishing the sentence. Jiraiya averted his gaze, looking at the boring trees. The next half-hour passed in silence until she was interrupted by Sannin. "Do you want me to teach you your father's Rasengan technique?" Jiraiya stopped and calmly looked at the girl. She looked at him questioningly. A blue ball of pure chakra appeared in Jiraiya's hand. He hit a huge tree with it, and it immediately fell to the ground with a loud crash. Naru looked slightly surprised at this. The old man put his hands on his hips and looked at the girl with a smile. "Make another one." The Rasengan appeared in the white-haired man's hand again. Uzumaki examined him carefully. Fast-rotating chakra with the use of shape control. Something similar to the Bijou Lady. Naruto pronounced her verdict. The man looked at her in surprise. No one in his memory had ever revealed the principle of Rasengan so quickly. Yes, and only 2 people were discovered. For Kitsune, who has lived for more than 1,000 years and studied the chakra for nothing to do, it was easy to understand the technique. Although it was amazing to her that such a small ball could be so destructive. Well, with her control over the shape of the chakra and the chakra itself, learning this technique will be simple. What the hell? Jiraiya whispered when he and Naruto returned to the village where they wanted to spend the night. Uzumaki clenched her fist, looking at the bloody corpses of the villagers. On the main building there was a huge inscription, "I will find you," most likely written in blood. Naruto clutched her heart. This meant only one thing: she was involved in this mass murder, as well as the fact that she could prevent it from happening. Looking for, then, flashed through the girl's thoughts. "I'll look around the village. Sannin is gone." Everything around Naruto abruptly turned black. It was as if children's laughter sounded everywhere and immediately stopped. "Lee, Esinok," someone whispered in the girl's ear. Uzumaki hit the unknown in the stomach, but felt the cold from the arrowhead on the neck. "What are you doing, little fox? What about the fun?" There was a distinct note of madness in the unknown's voice. Naruto was surprisingly calm. "I already told you. I'll stick your bow in one place for you." The red-haired woman crossed her arms over her chest, looking at one of the 12 signs zodiac, Sagittarius. The guy instantly became calm, as if he had turned off his emotions. Naru-chan, you're boring. Although I would have slept with you. Sagittarius grinned coquettishly and approached Naruto's face. The emotions on his face were changing like masks, which was really strange. Say what you wanted. The girl said sternly. Sagittarius sighed and became serious. Aquarius said that something bad is going on. He won't make a mistake. Yes, I feel it in my gut myself. So that's fate. Uzumaki examined one of the zodiac signs. Sagittarius, did you fight with Capricorn again, and did Libra heal the wounds? The girl said with displeasure. She doesn't remember when she met the zodiac signs, but one of them, namely Scorpio, said that she was once saved by them and eventually turned from a human into a demigod. The guy rolled his eyes and disappeared along with the darkness around the girl, and she was back in the dead village. A faint goodbye sounded in her head. Well, they weren't even friends, so Nara didn't feel sad, and they only saw each other 15 times in her entire life that she remembered. Although it was a lot of fun with Aries, and with Taurus you can get drunk to the brim and have a heart-to-heart chat. Pisces often laughed at her, but, damn, no one else knows how to talk nonsense so plausibly. Pulling Gemini and Leo as an adventurer was very interesting, every time and new adventures. Virgo always pointed out any speck of dust, and Cancer always walks all so mysterious and impenetrable, although there is such a darling inside. Naruto, let's go. It's time to leave. Jiraiya said warily. Naruto nodded and followed him. The following week, the old man decided to teach Kresnitsi Rasengan and bought water and rubber balls in advance. All such a joyful Sannin approached the girl with a water balloon. Naru tilted her head slightly to the right. The ball in the man's hand flew apart, splashing water on Naruto's face. I think her eye twitched. Jiraiya laughed awkwardly and reached out to ruffle her hair as Naru dodged. I don't like it when they touch my hair. To this sentence it was possible to add, I hate when the ears and tail are touched, but alas. As you wish. The man shrugged his shoulders and took out another ball. Here, you need to burst it yourself as well as I do. The girl took the ball and concentrated. Jiraiya stretched. Well, you train here, and I rest. He turned around and was about to go when he heard the sound of a balloon exploding. Uzumaki sighed, looking at the drops of water on her t-shirt. Sannin turned to her with surprise on his face. Amazing. In just a few seconds. She really is Minato's daughter. Sannin's thoughts flashed. Everything would be fine if it wasn't so bad. Naruto barely tore the rubber ball, because she needed a lot of chakras, and she can use little, because her secret will be revealed. As a result, a day later, a mini Rasengan was in the hand of the red-haired woman. Minutes, hours, days, weeks, months passed, and the murders did not stop in any way. And every time, in the places where he and Jiraiya were. The killer was ruthless. He killed everyone, old people, children, men, women, and especially foxes and foxes. Maybe the girl didn't like people, but she was ready to kill for foxes. Her favorite animals were becoming fewer and fewer. Jiraiya convinced Naruto every time that she needed to sign a contract with the toads. But the girl just turned away from the very sight of these giant animals. And their food, it's better to keep silent about it. One day Naruto couldn't stand it and shouted in Sannin's face, I have a contract with foxes. Nasty toads don't interest me. After these words, Jiraiya didn't mention toads anymore. Another year has passed at this rate. Naruto and Jiraiya finally came to Konoha. When they reached the village gate, they were stopped by two eternal guards. Okay, you can go. One of the guards nodded. Naruto turned to Sannin to ask him to take the report from the mission, but saw only an empty street with a lone tree. Ugh! Damn you, Sannin is a pervert. Naruto blurted out with all the accumulated anger. Her hair shot up, splitting into 9 strands. Hush, Fluffy. The girl heard a painfully familiar baritone. She immediately looked around, completely forgetting about the pervert, but saw only the guards, who clung to each other in horror, sitting in their shed. The red-haired woman rubbed her head, closing her eyes. Were they hallucinations? A red-haired whirlwind brought the girl out of her thoughts. Kurama hugged his sister, handing her a lush bouquet of roses. Sis, you are as beautiful as always, but today I can't take my eyes off you. The guy smiled the most charming smile. It is unknown where the girls appeared from, fainted from emotion. Naruto looked coldly at her brother, whose smile twitched for a moment. What have you done? Kurama already shivered from the cold tone. For all the time of their life together, the guy knew perfectly well how to suck up to his sister and mitigate his punishment for some serious dirty trick. But, apparently, it won't help now. What are you talking about, little fox? Uzumaki smiled even more sweetly, although much more. Naruto disappeared, leaving flames in her wake. Kurama squeaked. Naruto stood and looked with cold anger at the huge crater in the ground, around which everything was burned out by fire. Naruto teleported to her clan. She let out a sigh of relief when she saw the same Uzumaki as before. Well, I still got a chicken on the hat. The crater was formed in the most blunt way. Kurama and, surprisingly, Shisui Uchiha, got drunk in the trash and decided to face off. After that, they had a bad time from Fugaku, especially Shisui. Maybe tea? Or cocoa? Or something cold, a mojito, for example, or lemonade. The red-haired man smiled sweetly, holding cups of drinks on his tails. Naruto sat down at the table of the head of the Uzumaki clan, spreading her fluffy tails. She exhaled in relief and stretched. Put the mojito down and leave. Naru said surprisingly calmly, which surprised Kyubi no Yoko. Kurama put the glass on the table and disappeared into the scarlet flame. I need to submit a report. Blue-eyed yawned. Uzumaki took a sip of mojito and teleported straight to the Hokage's office with a glass. Good afternoon, Hokage-sama. She bowed her head slightly in greeting. Fugaku looked surprisingly cheerful. He was sitting drinking coffee. Good afternoon. Uchiha answered shortly. Uzumaki put the report on the table and sat down opposite Hokage. Why is there such a tense aura in the village? Naruto asked directly. Fugaku sighed and leaned back in his chair. The village is preparing for the Fourth World War, which the Akatsuki declared to us. The girl swallowed, clenching her teeth from the next punishment of the higher powers for her inaction, because her vocation is to preserve peace and order, which she cannot cope with. Naruto, what's wrong with you? The man looked at Uzumaki bent over in pain with barely registered concern. Tears welled up in my eyes. It was too much, too painful. It was as if every cell of the body was being torn into several parts. The girl fainted from pain shock. Weasel. Anbu immediately appeared in front of the Hokage and teleported Naruto to the hospital without further ado, immediately realizing what was required of him. After a while, Uzumaki woke up. Fortunately, she had the strength to restrain her appearance. Doctors could not approach her in vain. Every time they touched the body of the red-haired woman, they received burns. This was due to the fact that the girl covered her body with a thin, barely noticeable layer of her own chakra. This is the end of the meeting. Fugaku said. The clan heads bowed and left the council hall. Naruto went to her clan. It was necessary to make seals and quite a lot. At the request of his sister, Kurama has already gathered all Uzumaki at Naruto's house. The girl stood opposite Uzumaki. You were all gathered for a reason. The clan head began loudly. I will assign you to the units for the creation of certain seals. So, Group A, Koharu Uzumaki, the red-haired woman began to read out the names of Uzumaki from a piece of paper. Half an hour later, all Uzumaki were divided into groups. Most of them started making seals, and all the rest went to intensive training. Kurama, under the gaze of the head, drew seals of the highest class. Naruto dealt with the papers. Fugaku went to the Council of Five Kage. The Shinobi Alliance was assembled in the shortest possible time. Everyone was in their positions. The head of the squad from Konoha became Shursui, as the strongest shinobi of the village. Let's go back to our main character. Now she was ready to pour out all her anger on the Kage, who want to lock her up on Turtle Island. Kage thought that the girl wanted to participate in the war, and not sit like a mouse under protection, but in fact Naruto needed to prevent the war, otherwise she would again suffer from unbearable pain. If they catch you, it will be the end of the whole world. Hei shouted angrily. The red-haired woman completely ignored him, which made the Raikage furious and broke the table. Well, a plan was born in the girl's head. Good. I'm going to Turtle Island. The girl said calmly, which alerted the Hokage. He already knew that Uzumaki did not give up so easily and was already on guard. Naruto calmly headed to the island. Then he took off and disappeared into the clouds. The Shinobi Alliance was ready for anything. Everyone was on guard, waiting for an attack from all sides. The ground under the shinobi suddenly began to shudder and form craters. Some shinobi fell into them. The earth shuddered again, and after a few seconds the craters closed. White Zetsu began to climb out of the ground. They had devil wings on their backs and sharp claws on their hands. The creatures, like crazy, ran to the shinobi. The war has begun. Having dealt with the wave of White Zetsu, the shinobi were already overjoyed, but they did not expect that their next test would be the resurrected Jonins and Kage. They were standing opposite each other. When suddenly a huge statue appeared behind the resurrected, on top of which stood a guy. He spread his demonic wings and removed his snow-white hair from his face. Topaz's eyes glittered with rage, looking around the Shinobi Alliance in search of the person he needed. But the guy could not feel or see Kitsune in any way. Pontu, which was the guy's name, which means traitor in Japanese, flapped his wings and spoke loudly, "Give me the Kitsune, and not a drop of blood will be shed." Everyone was silent. Pontu waited. 1 minute, 5, 10. He knew how to wait. No means. Well, you have chosen your own destiny, go ahead. Pontu disappeared along with the articles, and the resurrected rushed to the Shinobi Alliance. Naruto was sitting in the lotus position. She couldn't even feel a glimmer of someone's chakra. The girl got up from her seat and bit her finger until it bled. I didn't want to, but I guess I'll have to. A big red fox appeared in front of the girl. Where are you going? We have orders to guard you and not let you out. A man said with a stony face. I don't care. 10 scarlet chains burst out of Uzumaki's back. But one of the guards wrapped the girl with trees. She was slightly surprised, remembering how Hashirama had defeated her with the same thing. But Makutan was much weaker than the first one. 9 beautiful tails fluffed up behind the girl's back, and cute ears appeared on her head. The trees flew apart, shattering into pieces, and the shinobi looked at Kitsune with shock. The girl sat on the fox. Disperse. Uzumaki said coldly. The shinobi stared at her in a stupor, still trying to remove the genjutsu. Naruto sighed. Full name, go ahead." The fox immediately took off and ran out of the island. Being in pure flight, the fox disappeared. Naruto softened her landing with the chains of Kongo Fuso. Looking around, she saw the corpses of shinobi, cocoons where the resurrected were sealed, and a statue of Geto Maso, on top of which stood an unknown guy Naruto. The ends of the girls' tails were enveloped in flames. Kurama appeared next to her, who had been in sadness all this time. Some strands of his hair had turned black. Noticing Kitsune, Pontu grinned madly and laughed. "You finally got out of your hole, Kitsune," the guy shouted with a big smile and a crazy look. Naruto blinked. She stared at the guy with incomprehension. "Who are you anyway?" The white-haired man fell into a stupor, after which his eyes filled with rage. "How dare you, after everything you've done, forget me?" Pontu shouted, spreading his wings. Kurama let out an exasperated sigh. This guy has already pissed him off. Kurama was enveloped in yellow flames and turned into a nine-tailed fox. "Gyuki, it's been a long time," the fox growled. The eight-tailed one who appeared next to him nodded to him. Tailed ladies began to form a biju, but they were kicked away. "Emi, what passions, not so fast, tailed," the man said coldly. Naruto turned pale, a chill went down her back, and everything inside shrank. The man turned his gaze to her. The brunette's eyes widened, but suddenly turned completely white. Madara Uchiha took a fighting stance, attacking enemies. "Naruto, wake up!" Kurama shouted, already in human form. The girl stood, trying to calm down and hold back tears. Her words that she had once said to Madara floated into my head. "Who knows, maybe we will be on different sides someday." Looking up, she noticed a fist flying at her. Everything was as if in slow motion. A moment later she was sliding down the stone. "Spot, stop. I don't want to fight you." The body was pierced by pain again and the girl coughed up blood. Madara stood, he didn't do anything, Kabuto's control was strong. Madara was thrown back by a strong current of air. He looked at the source of such a powerful technique. Temari stood holding a large fan. "Kitsune-sama." Temari began, but she was interrupted. "Naruto, wake up." Sakura landed near her friend, hitting the ground with all her might, where a crater and fractures began to form at the same second. Pieces of earth rose up, wanting to bury their opponent in the ground. Naruto shook her head and got up, another pain sobered her up. 9 tails developed behind the back, their tips were enveloped in flames, the hair soared up, some strands of which caught fire, but did not burn. "Well, let's start, my love." The girl smiled, calling a huge fox. Madara was already in the head of a huge Susanoo warrior. "Naruchan, you call at the most difficult moment." The fox gasped. "Excuse me, Mithaku-sama." Susanoo's blade aimed at the fox, but collided with the fox's machete. The 4 previous kages were resurrected, with the arrival of a new wave of black Zetsu. After all, Kurama was sealed into a statue of Geto Maso and a huge beast began to destroy everything in the neighborhood, sending bombs to military facilities. Pontu gritted his teeth, it was hard to control the 10-tail. He began to fold the seals, thereby sealing the 10-tailed into himself, but suddenly a black hand pierced his chest. Turning around, Pontu saw a black Zetsu. It was at this moment that all the resurrected began to develop, thanks to Itachi. Madara began to disintegrate along with Susanoo, who began to disappear. Madara folded a row of seals and landed on the ground. "It's great to feel alive and free." Finally, Uchiha said, after which he squeezed Naruto in his arms, which made her almost suffocate. I missed you. The man whispered and kissed his beloved on the forehead. The girl smiled, wiping away the tears that suddenly came out of her eyes. Moving away from Madara, Naruto suddenly turned cold, looking at the two Hokages who were already shouting to be scattered. Minato and Hiruzen didn't do anything, staring in surprise at the strongest Hokage. You. The girl landed behind Hashirama and Tobirama, grabbing them by the collar. What did you do after my death? I'm asking you. The two Senju turned to the girl and lowered their heads. Naruto crossed her arms over her chest. Hashirama, why didn't Uzumaki help? Tobirama. The second shuddered. Why did you ruin the reputation of the Uchiha? Created these techniques. He wanted peace. I'll make peace for you now. Kitsune said angrily. Minato walked up to her, putting his hand on her shoulder. Uzumaki turned to him. And where is my daughter, actually? Minato asked, already guessing what was wrong with her. Naruto hesitated, then spoke. Your daughter was murdered. After her death, I was reborn in her body. In Minato's eyes, you could read anger and the question, who? Residents of Konoha. They hated her. Minato looked coldly at Hiruzen, who swallowed. Suddenly, everyone closed their eyes from the bright light. The shinobi turned to the source of the strong light. They saw a huge tree with a flower on top and a beautiful woman with long white hair, horns on her head and a closed third eye on her forehead. Naruto. A woman shouted, hugging her best friend. Naruto blinked. And who are you? Kitsune asked. The goddess was surprised, but realizing something, she put two fingers on the girl's forehead. Naruto froze as all the forgotten memories came to her mind. Her parents, childhood friends, a pet, first love and a broken heart, salvation by zodiac signs, her first student who walked the path of power and cruelty, her best friend and, the moment of sealing Kaguya. Tears rolled from the girl's eyes. She hugged her friend back, then pulled away. And what are you going to do now? Uzumaki asked. I'll probably go back to my clan. I'll visit you and you owe me. Kaguya smirked. Naruto blinked. I want to be the godmother of your children. The woman's eyes already rolled with joy, and Uzumaki blushed. Hokage, Madara and all the other shinobi in a stupor looked at the goddess and Kitsune, who happily communicated. The war is over. We're splitting up. What are you staring at? Madara shouted angrily. Well. I went. Kaguya smiled and flew out of Pontu's body like a spirit, dissolving into the air. Naruto sat down next to the guy who was barely conscious. You left me. The guy whispered, looking at Kitsune with anger and resentment. Naruto sighed. And you're still the same child, sighed Kitsune, watching as the body of her traitor disciple disintegrates into specks of dust and disappears. The sun was shining brightly in the yard, the birds were singing loud songs. The weather completely reflected Kitsune's incredibly joyful mood. The girl was ready to jump with happiness. And it is unclear what pleased her more, Madara, who is with her again, or the freedom she was given. Now she is not obliged to keep peace and order, every time she is reborn. She won't feel pain anymore. Now she is free, which the girl could not get enough of. Madara looked with a smile at the dancing girl who was making pancakes for herself. Uchiha got up from his chair, stroking the girl's hair and touching her ears. You know, I don't like your hand. Naruto looked at him questioningly. Madara grinned and rested his chin on the top of her head. She's not wearing a wedding ring. So, Uchiha did not finish, lifting the girl, surprised by Uzumaki, into his arms. 9 tails turned into one, for convenience. We're going to the registry office. Uchiha left the clan quarter and headed to the building he needed. All eyes were on them. Well, of course, earlier stories about their relationship could only be read in a history book, but here they go live. Good morning, lovebirds. Sakura shouted, running past the future newlyweds. When she didn't hear an answer, she disappeared. The evil Shursui ran after her, from whom she took her beloved katana. Naruto and Madara returned home already with rings on their ring fingers. Would you like some ice cream? Madara asked, showing 2 ice cream cones with the taste of orange and chocolate. Naruto nodded with a smile on her face and began to eat orange-flavored ice cream. Suddenly the girl thought. She remembered some girl and the same Madara, only they were too blurred in her memories, as if they had been erased and resumed, only the girl did not know that this was the case. You have ice cream on your cheek. Madara licked Uzumaki's cheek, which finally brought her out of her memories. The red-haired woman blushed slightly. Someone landed on the windowsill. Only 3 people could enter Naruto's house in this way, Madara, Kurama and, what is it, Sakura? Uzumaki asked after finishing the treat. She didn't even notice how much her friend had changed. Her long pink hair was tied in a high ponytail, leaving 2 strands in front. She was dressed in an ANBU uniform. She has grown into a real beauty. Naruto, I'm already getting jealous of girls. Looking skeptically at his wife, Uchiha said. Naruto looked at him in surprise. I'm straight. The girl snapped. Madara-san, Hokage calls you for registration. Haruno decided to interrupt their conversation. Uchiha nodded and, kissing Naruto on the temple, went to the Hokage. You look so beautiful together. Anbu smiled, looking at her friend enthusiastically. Naruto only smiled sweetly at her words, some kind of anxiety did not leave her. Sakura disappeared into Shunshin, shouting goodbye, bye, I have a mission. Can we go for a walk? Considering this the best solution, the head of the clan went into the forest. Wandering between the huge lush trees, Naruto noticed a fox cub, whose paw was stuck between the roots of trees. Don't be afraid, I'll help you. The girl smiled affectionately and, approaching the fox cub, gently pulled out his paw. The redhead jumped into her arms, wagging his tail. Naruto was doused with ice water, she felt such danger that she had not felt in her whole life. Looking at the fox cub, she was horrified. His eyes began to turn black along with his whole body. He was looking at her with a terrifying grin. Illusions of the head of the same fox began to appear around the girl. And then it dawned on her. Pontu once found an artifact that grants a second life to its owner, but only once. The fox turned into a white-haired one and hit the girl's chakra hearth with his palm, completely destroying it. A large number of chakras burst out, and Uzumaki screamed in frantic pain. Hearing the screams and feeling the flash of the chakra, several shinobi, Hokage and Madara himself ran to the place. Pontu got up from the ground. I promised that I would take revenge. Blue-eyed grinned, then fell to the ground unconscious, due to the strongest genjutsu that Madara introduced him into. In Naruto's head, which barely held in consciousness, all the puzzles formed. That's why her husband was blind, why her daughter was so distant, and why they brought her that scroll. The scroll. Precisely. The girl began to draw some symbols in the sky with her finger, not even symbols, patterns. There were some threads, and then darkness. Uzumaki woke up already in the hospital. The first thing she saw was her husband sleeping on a chair next to her. He was holding her hand, snoring softly. The girl took a sitting position, moaning softly from the pain in her body. Naru smiled affectionately, looking at the brunette and straightened his bangs with her fingertips. Madara immediately woke up. "How are you?" the man asked, checking the state of the focus of Naruto's chakra with his chakra. With such injuries, shinobi usually do not survive, and if they do, then the shinobi's career ends for them. But surprisingly, the chakra circulation system was quietly recovering from nothing. Madara left the room and went to get the doctor. Tsunade Senju entered the ward. "It's been a long time," the woman said with a slight smirk. Naruto nodded. Tsunade became serious. "So, get out of the room." A woman without any fear and doubt pushed the strongest shinobi of the world out of the ward and began to treat Kitsune. Madara snorted discontentedly somewhere behind the door. "Well, this is the first time in my practice when the chakra circulation system is completely restored by itself, albeit slowly. In order not to interfere with the recovery, you are forbidden to use the chakra for at least 2 months. As it is, you're as healthy as a bull. All. You can walk, so go ahead and sing from the hospital." The head doctor of the hospital giggled. Naruto looked at her skeptically, chuckling. "And how long did I sleep, by the way?" 2 weeks. You can see because the chakra canals in your eyes have already been restored. I see. Madara entered the ward after hearing that his wife was already being discharged. He silently picked her up in his arms and carried her home, glaring at Tsunade with displeasure. "I won't let you go anywhere alone anymore." Uchiha sighed as he entered the house. "Do you even know how scared I was?" The man looked at Uzumaki reproachfully. The ears on Naruto's head lowered. "I'm sorry, I wasn't careful." The girl hugged the brunette, nuzzling her nose into his chest. "And what should I do with you?" Madara breathed out, kissing her on the top of her head. Naruto smiled. "Love, feed, hug and don't leave." She wagged her tail merrily. Uchiha grinned. "Spot, let's go to bed. It takes too much effort to recover." The red-haired woman hugged Madara around the neck, kissing her. Tonight was probably the most peaceful of all. Naruto Uzumaki slept like a dead woman, feeling safe and warm. "And where is Kurama, you ask, and I will answer you. He was evicted with a kick in the ass." The instigator of this kick was none other than the mistress of the house, Naruto. "And why with a kick, you will ask again, and I will answer you again. Kurama and Madara staged a fight in the house, and the instigator of the fight turned out to be a 9-tailed one. He really didn't like Uchiha. Now the homeless god Kuramushka wanders around the clan. Yes, it was, the first 2 hours. Then he was sheltered by Shursui. Something these two have become very friendly after drinking together. Well, okay, Blue, they're like, oh, at least I didn't hear the chicken, otherwise he'll hit something good, and I don't need such happiness. I hear some explosions from a distant Uchi training ground, and, of course, it's Sasuke and Itachi arguing again who is stronger, only now, in each round there is a draw, which infuriates both participants. They got a neck from Mikoto. And that's right, there's nothing to scare people with explosions. Not everyone has recovered from the war yet, although it lasted 1 day, yes. Have I completely forgotten about Akatsuki? And where are they, exactly? There were none in the war. Oh, here I found it. Some were spies anyway, so they walk around the world like ordinary travelers, and some have dispersed to villages. There, Nagato and Konan are sitting on a bench in the Uzumaki clan. I didn't think that Naruto would pardon them, although they just wanted peace, so let them live alive and healthy. Yes, healthy. Nagato is currently undergoing rehabilitation. I've been talking to you for a while, I know how to Let's go back to our doves, and the doves are lying near the river in Kulbabki. Madara is sleeping, and Naruto is sitting next to him and weaving a wreath. What a sweet moment, my heart is already melting. A fox jumped onto Uzumaki's lap and squeaked merrily. Hello to you too, Roxy. Haven't seen you for a long time. The girl stroked the redhead and put a wreath on her head like a crown. The fox waved his tail and began to run between the flowers, occasionally raking them with his paws. Naruto sighed, sprawled on the soft grass near Madara. She closed her eyes, clinging to the man. The noise of the river mixed with the singing of birds sprinkled it in the form of a lullaby. Roxy approached them, looking curiously at the sleeping shinobi. For some reason, she liked Uchiha's stomach like a soft pillow, and she lay down to sleep on itachi. An hour passed. The bushes, 5 meters away from the newlyweds, rustled slightly. A minute later, 3 genin heads appeared from them. Riko, Fuka, and Kira. 3 Uzumaki curiously watched the shinobi sleeping together with the fox. I'll write a fan fiction about them. Kira smiled slyly. Riko looked at her skeptically. You will write your perversions again. The boy mumbled. Fuka lightly hit the 2 on the back of the head with the words, "Hush, you will notice after all." Suddenly, a chill ran down the backs of all 3 of them. They slowly turned their heads back when they saw Axel Uzumaki, who was looking at them coldly with his arms crossed over his chest. The guy shushed them, and the genins instantly disappeared, followed by the guy. And I told you that taking him as a guard is not a bad idea. Naruto grinned, looking at Madara. Uchiha threw off the fox, hugging the girl. Roxy snorted with displeasure and ran off into the woods. Yes, no one will bother us. Madara buried his fingers in her hair, kissing her neck. Noticing the surprise on Kitsune's face, the man grinned. Don't worry, I've set up an illusory barrier. It didn't seem to matter to Uzumaki whether he was there or not. Do you remember how you ran after me when I accidentally subdued you with my eyes? Uchiha snorted, running his hand over her waist. I succumbed to you. The girl grinned, taking off his turtleneck, simultaneously passing her hand over the cubes of the press. Author, well, there are 2 options here. The first, I'll finish it, but I'll be beaten in the comments. The second, I'll finish it, but I'll die of embarrassment. Well, R.I.P. Author. Madara pulled off the girl's kimono, under which black lace underwear appeared. Uchiha sat down opposite Uzumaki, who looked at him, but she immediately closed her eyes, covering them with her hand. Madara, on his knees, was holding a condom in his teeth, tying his hair into a high ponytail. With all this, Uchiha was grinning impudently, looking at Naruto. The brunette let out a laugh. Will you help me? The girl sat down on her knees in embarrassment, slowly pulling off Uchiha's pants. Before she could take them off completely, she was lying on the ground again. Oh, it's beautiful, I can't take my eyes off. The hair spread out in waves on the ground, the cheeks are red, there are barely noticeable drops of sweat on the forehead, the body trembled slightly with excitement, soft hips, narrow waist, tan skin, and these ears, tail and the cunning look of cat eyes. Madara bit his lip. He pushed aside his pants along with his boxers, putting on a condom. Uchiha ran his palm over the smooth skin of his stomach with a barely noticeable scar. Naru exhaled shakily. The brunette pulled off her panties. He moved closer to her ear whispering, "You're so wet." The girl again covered her eyes with her hand from embarrassment, it seems she was redder than cancer. Madara loved to embarrass her, it was so cute and beautiful. Uchiha ran his hand over his thigh, placing it on his shoulder. He slowly began to enter her. The girl squeaked, biting her lip. Madara stopped, exhaling. He lifted the shower, squeezing his chest, and then slowly continued to enter. The girl moaned languidly, from which Uchiha bit his lip so as not to break. He began to move slowly, gradually accelerating. It seems that Axel has already regretted signing up for this. They didn't even think about the soundproof barrier. And the poor guy was sitting all red on a tree branch and, hearing groans and slaps, was trying to make a seal sealing a memory fragment. Kakashi was in one of Konoha's cells, with a seal on his forehead and handcuffs on his hands. The iron door to his cell opened and one of the guards entered. Kakashi didn't react to this in any way. On the way out, "You were pardoned," the man said coldly, roughly grabbing Hatake by the elbow and pushing him out of the prison, at the exit from which Fugaku and Shursui were waiting for him. Obito and Kakashi, who were in the same park. Obito was talking to Sasuke, and Kakashi was sitting in silence on a bench with a seal on his hand. Hatake was shunned by everyone, and no one dared to speak to the traitor. It seems better to sit in a dark cell than to feel contemptuous glances on yourself. Obito, hi. Naruto smiled weakly, waving her hand. Good afternoon, why are you alone? Uchiha asked. Sasuke looked at them skeptically, feeling superfluous. Without another word, he turned around and left. Naruto waved her tails. I was looking for Kakashi, do you know where he is? Casually asked the girl. In her beautiful little head, a desire suddenly appeared to reconcile these two. But still, she really needed to find Kakashi in order to change his seal. Obito was slightly surprised and darkened, after which he smiled, but somehow sad. I'll take you to him. Uchiha sighed, heading towards the ash-haired one. Uzumaki followed him. I came to change your seal, Naruto said calmly, with an indifferent face. Hatake didn't even look at her, but only nodded. After a couple of minutes, the seal was changed. Obito was still standing silently beside his former teammate. Some part of him said it was time to leave, but the other wanted to know the reason why Kakashi betrayed the village. Well, I'll go, and you, as for me, should talk. Kitsune disappeared, as always leaving flames behind her. The next 5 minutes passed in oppressive silence, both for Uchiha and for Hatake. Kakashi, Obito said out of the blue, and then continued. Why did you betray Konoha? Why didn't you come back? Hatake was still staring at the ground, not daring to say a word. Kakashi. The brunette couldn't resist shouting, grabbing the former teammate by the shoulder. His eyes, red with anger, met the ash-haired man's surprised eyes, which dimmed almost immediately. I wanted peace and stridency, the man whispered, closing his eyes. It was then that Obito imagined himself in his place. After all, he was just a child, having lost his father. He always walked alone, he was always distant and cold. Uchiha wanted to pull a former friend out of this all-consuming loneliness, where everything seemed gray and the same, where there was no place for fun and friends. Obito ruffled Kakashi's already disheveled hair. I'm not leaving you. After all, you are my friend. Uchiha smiled his kind smile. Looking at him, sparks of hope and joy mixed with sadness flashed in Hatake's eyes. Sakura was walking through the forest at that time, having nothing to do. Seeing a secluded corner near the trunk of a tree, she decided to sit down and sharpen the katana. Soon on a mission. Probably another sweep of some gang of followers of the Pontu. The girl thought, sighing. It was quite uncomfortable to sit in the ANBU outfit, but after an hour she was too lazy to go on a mission and change clothes. And she was tired. Putting down the katana, Sakura sighed, closing her eyes. She leaned against the trunk of a tree. Suddenly a hare jumped out of the bushes to her. He sat down next to her, twitching his nose and tail. The girl blinked in surprise. The rabbit immediately ran away, and Haruno made a skeptical expression on her face. "Hello." Shursui crossed his arms over his chest, leaning against a tree trunk. "I was ordered to help you on a mission." The girl nodded, getting up from the ground, but she was stopped by strands of hair that got tangled in the bark of a tree. She took out a kunai, deciding to quickly deal with the problem. Because her hair would grow, she still wanted to get a haircut for a square, but it still didn't work out. Shursui grabbed her wrist in surprise. "What are you doing?" "Don't cut it off, you can untangle it." The pink-haired woman rolled her eyes. "Well, that's it." Uchiha smiled slightly, "Thanks." The girl got up from the ground, shaking herself off. Yawning, she headed for the village gate. Shursui chuckled as he followed her. Naruto was sitting at the table, drinking orange juice. Madara was sitting across from her, reading a scroll. Uchiha suddenly put it down, looking at his wife. "Naru, after all, who is this Pontu?" The brunette raised an eyebrow. "My former student." The girl snapped without interest. Looking at the brunette, she felt a little sad, remembering the past. "I found him in a burning house, as a 7-year-old child." Kitsune began her story. Flashback: a young girl, 19 years old in appearance, was walking along the path. She was dressed in a simple kimono and held a basket of bread and apples in her hands. The ears on her head twitched, and she heard a piercing scream. Dropping the basket, the girl ran to the source of the scream. All out of breath, she ran to a small house, which was completely enveloped by fire. Hearing the scream again, she ran into the house without hesitation. Under the burning rubble lay a little boy with snow-white hair and topaz eyes. The boy was covered with his demonic wings. The girl immediately took the child in her arms and ran out of the burning house with him. The boy opened his heavenly eyes and looked around. All his wounds and burns were bandaged. "Where am I?" the blonde man asked in a slightly loud voice. A red-haired girl with eyes as blue as the sky, 9 tails and fluffy ears on her head came into the light. The girl smiled affectionately, which shocked the boy. He had never been smiled at like that. "Does it hurt anywhere? How are you feeling? No dizziness?" Naruto began to overwhelm the boy with questions. "It doesn't hurt," the boy said rather quietly. The girl smiled and ruffled his hair. "Wonderful. You're on the mend. By the way, my name is Naruto Uzumaki. And I'm a Pontu." The boy smiled, flapping his wings. The end of the flashback. Everyone was afraid of him and hated him. Even his parents slightly disliked him. That day, the people from the village decided to get rid of him. They set fire to his house, along with his parents. Naruto lowered her head. "I wanted to help him and offered to travel the world. I thought I would replace his parents and teacher. But I was too self-confident." Kitsune sighed. Madara put his hand on hers, squeezing it slightly. "At every training session, he gave his best. I studied more than I needed to." Only now, in his eyes there was only revenge and hatred for everyone. Otherwise, he was quite cheerful, but only with me. One incident turned my kindness to him from head to toe. Naruto exhaled, remembering that incident. Flashback: Pontu, Yu. Naruto, in complete shock and with tears in her eyes, looked at the destroyed village, without a single living soul. All the bodies were brutally cut. The houses were burning with scarlet fire. R.S. At that time, Naruto had not yet been cursed by Rikudo. The girl looked at the dark silhouette. Pontu's hair was covered in blood, like everything else. The topaz eyes shone brightly under the rays of the sun, radiating a thirst for murder. "Naruto-san, this is the result of our training. How do you like it?" The blonde turned to his teacher, but received a slap in the face. For what? Why did you kill them all? Innocent people? Naruto shouted, with anger and resentment, looking at the 14-year-old guy. They hated me. My parents were killed. They burned down my house. Do you think I should bow to their feet? The guy said, breaking into a scream on the last sentence. The end of the flashback, the thirst for blood and murder overwhelmed him. His strength and intelligence sometimes terrified me. I gave him to the zodiac signs, which sent him to prison. Otherwise, he would have gone completely mad, deciding to destroy the world. Aren't you afraid of me? I've also killed so many. Madara looked at the girl. Unexpectedly for him, she smiled and, approaching Uchiha, sat on his lap, hugging him. How can I be afraid of you? Uzumaki purred, wagging her tail. If we hadn't dealt with Pontu so quickly, he would have killed us all. You're puny Pontu. The man rolled his eyes. Prison drains strength. Plus, he's almost said goodbye to at least some sanity. You're full of mysteries, Fuzzy. Madara kissed the girl on the forehead. Come on. Let's go eat pancakes with cherries. Uzumaki's eyes lit up. Madara chuckled. Only if they are with condensed milk and chocolate chips. The brunette grinned and followed his wife. Whatever you say, that's the end of it.